They say there's nothing good to eat in the wilderness, but some people start off by shooting a squirrel in the head with an arrow. That's quick and ruthless. I'm curious how they'll cook it. Another person netted a fish that's likely bigger than my muscles. Check out this beating heart. It shows how fresh the fish is. You could eat it raw without any issue. What's really impressive is they make fire using just friction, no fire starter. I wonder where they picked up that skill. The show actually sent the contestants to the Arctic, one of the coldest and harshest places on Earth. You must always watch out for wolves and bears, as most people can't survive there. 10 contestants will push their limits in this harsh environment. The final survivor will earn $1 million prize, but they'll encounter many challenges along the way. No one can be sure they'll win. The contestants are now being dropped on the island. Who do you think has the best shot at victory? The challenge kicks off, and Barry is the first to step in. Once the staff departs, it suddenly feels much quieter. Now he has to find a good spot to sleep. The initial thrill fades, and anxiety creeps in. Suddenly, the staff comes back. Could the challenge be over before it even begins? Nope. Barry just forgot his hat. Who knew they'd come back for that? Barry's spirits lift immediately. He thumbs up the staff and eagerly anticipates the challenges ahead. He's a wilderness survival blogger who usually teaches people how to survive in the wild, skills many learn at specialized places. But for him, he was influenced by his family from a young age, learning many survival skills like setting traps and making tools. It's all about having the skills. Beyond the prize, he wants to test his limits. He hopes his family will be happier after this challenge, though he feels guilty about leaving his wife to handle the kids alone. Talking about it makes him want to go home, but he needs to focus on finding a place to spend the night first. Fortunately, this spot provides a clear view of the surroundings. He aims to gather plenty of food early on and build a decent shelter so he can be comfortable when winter comes. Barry's plan sounds pretty good. He found some old moose droppings. If he had arrived sooner, he might have had some meat. I'm thinking about using bait to lure a bear. I've never hunted with a bow and arrow, so it would be quite an experience. I hope Barry's just bluffing. This cliff is steep. I need to be careful going down. I can't afford to get hurt now. I need to memorize the area before the snow hides everything. If I forget, it could be a big problem. I'm planning to build a temporary shelter nearby. Then I'll see where I can find food. Meanwhile, Nikki is eating berries. Next, she's going to carry the box away. I must admit, this camera gear is quite heavy and exhausting from the get-go. Now, I need to find a decent spot to sleep. It's really heavy. Luckily, this area is flat enough to drag it. Otherwise, I'd want to go home and sleep. I didn't come here to prove what women can do. I just want to win the prize money and go home. I'm a wilderness survival guide. I usually go fishing when I have free time. I'm very confident in my survival skills. Living in the wild has always been my dream, so this challenge is thrilling. I need to do well on camera. I've hunted lions with friends before. Although we used rifles then, I'm confident even with a bow and arrow. I can handle large animals, so I'm not worried about meeting them in the wild. I'm ready for this. I intend to explore the area more to gather as much food as I can before winter. Once snow covers everything, finding food will be tough. It will be hard to find anything. I was happy to see some mushrooms, but they had been gnawed by mice. That instantly ruined my mood. Do you think we can still eat them after some cleaning? Nikki doesn't want to waste food. She tries to keep the intact parts and hopes cooking them will be fine. Suddenly, she hears a sound. Upon closer look, she sees a bobcat. It's still far off, but if it targets her, sleeping at night will be tough. Luckily, the bobcat just looked and left. It seems this area isn't very safe. Nikki needs to stay alert at night. She needs to quickly build her shelter for some protection. The bow and arrow should help scare the bobcat away. The silver lining is there must be rabbits nearby, otherwise the bobcat wouldn't be here. Now, let's check on Nathan. Upon arrival, he saw a squirrel in a tree, but missed his shot, and the arrow got stuck. Without the axe, he would have lost an arrow right away. Chopping down the tree, though, is really tiring. These logs will be great for a shelter later. Thankfully, the axe still works, otherwise, he'd be really frustrated. Nathan and his wife have always been self-sufficient, eating from their garden and relying on Nathan's hunting for meat. Nathan's survival skills are top-notch. He aims to make his shelter cozier and really needs the prize money for that. Unless something unexpected happens to his body, he is determined to stick it out until the end. Nathan believes it won't rain tonight, so he just needs to start a fire. He might be the only one without a fire starter, opting for primitive methods instead. He plans to store the embers later, so he can carry an extra useful tool. It's a good idea. In this kind of environment, let's see if Nathan's fire starting skills hold up. Let's watch how he makes a fire. He's using a bow drill, rubbing it continuously. It looks impressive, but as the sun is about to set, there's still no sign of embers, and Nathan regrets not bringing a fire starter. It seems he won't have a fire to keep warm tonight. By the second day, Tim has already finished his shelter. He bulked up for this challenge, so he's not concerned about losing weight quickly. Today, he aims to explore and hunt big game. He's quite confident in his hunting skills, but he finds it a bit silly that the show requires him to talk to the camera. Being here too long would drive anyone crazy. He heads into the forest. He hopes he won't go hungry today. The surroundings are quite nice. Tim told his granddaughter he was heading to the Arctic. She asked him to remember to ask Santa for gifts in advance. Tim is thinking about bringing back a bearskin to make clothes for her. He is a hunting guide by profession and knows how to live comfortably in the wild. Although he is the oldest contestant, being the oldest means he has the most experience, and he wants to show he's not less capable than the younger contestants. Perhaps due to his age, he values family time deeply and hopes his longing for them will fuel his endurance in the wild. The ideal result is bringing home the prize money. I need to scout for game quickly. I see some tracks on the ground. The tracks look a bit old. This path nearby must be where the bear emerges. It's really close to the shelter. He plans to build a hedge to block it a bit. This way, he can hide behind it and aim. Although he has hunted bears before, that time he had a hunting box for protection. Plus, the bears here are bigger. He needs to be extra careful. No one has hunted a bear for food yet. I wonder if he'll get the chance. Ideally, he'd find some small animals instead. That way, he might score some meat. Barry's hunting attempts haven't been very fruitful either. Right now, squirrels are the easiest to find. They keep chattering above his head, driving Barry crazy. He needs to set more traps now. The squirrels will regret coming down. The snares can be small. As long as the squirrels can fit through, their fur will trigger the snare to tighten. This method should work well in theory. Setting them up doesn't take much effort. The squirrel above hasn't noticed anything and is still enjoying its breakfast. Barry takes aim with his bow and arrow and, with a single shot, brings down the unsuspecting squirrel as it enjoys its nut. Barry can enjoy some meat later. What's the best way to cook it? The innards will make great fishing bait. Today has been quite good. Meanwhile, Nathan just got drenched by a light rain. He must build the shelter today. Then he can think about how to live better. The more beautiful he imagined it before coming, the worse it is now. The only thing to be thankful for is, the water is safe to drink, but he still needs to start a fire. The shelter will be simple and convenient. Just need to cover it with a waterproof tarp. Heard a moose nearby last night. Once the fire's going, he can focus on hunting, then he can lie down and gnaw on meat to survive till the end. It's a nice thought. But he has to start the fire first. He worked until nightfall without success and was shivering from the cold. The worst part was the animal noises. It sounded like a big cat, scaring Nathan so much he couldn't sleep. In reality, it was just a moose foraging nearby, but Nathan had no idea. He lay in his sleeping bag, praying for dawn. By the third day, Nathan was completely tormented. After waking, he searched for useful materials, hoping to get a fire going. He was lucky enough to find some dry wood. He hurried to try and start the fire. Otherwise, survival would be impossible. The new material was far superior to the previous ones, and Nathan felt sure he could get the fire started. Although he saw some smoke, there wasn't much ash. He had to keep trying, which was a bit disappointing. He managed to start the fire, but the camera died and missed it. It wasn't a big deal, though, as long as he kept the fire going. More exciting footage was sure to come, so he needed to plan his next steps carefully. On day 4 of the challenge, Tim was lying in his shelter, enjoying the view. It was his first time here. If it weren't for the dangerous animals around, he wished he could bring friends and family here for a vacation. Today, he aimed to chop down some nearby trees, which would provide plenty of firewood. It would also make a nice souvenir. Tim chatted with the tree in front of the camera. He felt a bit silly, but it helped with the loneliness. Food had been scarce lately. It was time to hunt nearby. Ideally, he'd find a caribou. Many animal trails seemed long abandoned. He wondered what he might encounter if he followed them. Tim had never seen a forest like this. It felt quite magical. The deeper he explored, the stranger it felt. The ground turned into a swamp, soaking his belongings. The silver lining was the abundance of tracks. If he played his cards right, he could definitely hunt for food here. Now he could return and strategize on utilizing the swamp. He was confident he could set up an ambush and hunt here. Suddenly, he found a shovel, whether for digging or as a makeshift grill. It was a great find. First, he needed to find a fishing spot by the shore. The rocky terrain made walking difficult, and he felt unsteady. So far, he had only found some berries to eat. They could barely satisfy his hunger. The key was how much meat he could get. Eating enough to be 3/4 full each day would suffice. Given his body weight, surviving a month wouldn't be an issue. All he could think about now was how to cook the meat. As expected, the unexpected happened. Tim fell on the rocks. If it were someone else, it might have just been a scrape, but for her age, it's a very serious injury. Her knee had previously been injured and surgically treated. This fall could now lead to significant issues. I didn't think Di-Mu would leave the challenge this early. She can hardly stand and had to call the crew for help. The atmosphere is tense. No one thought this would happen so early, especially by day 4. The crew hurried to the contestant, hoping it was just a bone injury. After a quick check by the doctor initially found her lower leg was fractured and gave her a pain relief injection. Di-Mu thought the situation was awful. She missed out on the prize money and now faces hospital bills. She'll be in a wheelchair for months. Di-Mu couldn't accept this outcome. She would rather have collapsed from hunger. She was already prepared to hunt. She was confident she could hunt and eat a moose. Tim had many plans, but now he likely won't get another chance to compete. I hope he recovers soon. After Tim left, there were only 9 contestants left. Since Nathan got the fire going, he's been resting in the shelter for a long time. To keep the fire going, he needs to chop and carry a lot of firewood. Yesterday, he put the net in the water, hoping to catch some fish. In theory, the fish can't see the net. When they swim by, they'll get caught. Nathan just came to check the net and saw a fish. It was really big. He swiftly lifted the net, eager to taste the fish. It had already ceased struggling. To be sure, he struck it a few more times. This was the largest fish Nathan had ever caught, even bigger than any he'd seen at the market. If he manages it wisely, he won't go hungry for a week. Catch a few more, and he's set for the winter, so leaving the fire starter behind was smart. Without it, he couldn't have used the net to catch this fish. Look, its heart is still beating in his hand. It's really unbelievable. This fish will definitely taste delicious when grilled. He showed the fish to the camera. It was a huge catch, enough to feed 2 or 3 people. If Nathan keeps this up, he's sure he can win the prize money. On the 5th day, snow began to fall, catching Nathan off guard with how quickly it blanketed the area. His shelter couldn't withstand the snowfall at all, so he had to build some walls to block it. The snow completely disrupted his survival rhythm. Now, he could only chop wood quickly and transport it back to the shelter. The cold was unbearable, even if there was a spinning top lying on the ground. He couldn't focus on the spinning top. He needed to finish the shelter quickly. At the same time, Nikki was heading to the shore to fish. The weather was really unbearable, and the wind was getting stronger. If this continued, his body might not be able to take it. Nikki didn't expect it to snow so soon. He wasn't prepared at all. He wondered how the other contestants were doing. He felt awful, worse than ever before. Now, let's see how Paris is doing. The area was blanketed in snow, with no animal activity in sight. As the snow continued, his mood became even lower. He could only lie down and rest in the shelter. He had thought that snow would change the environment a lot before coming here, but he hadn't anticipated snow on the 5th day, proving the weather forecast wrong. He was unsure how long it would last. Let's anticipate the performance of the remaining contestants and see what happens next. Who could have guessed the contestants would be so unlucky this season? This guy finally caught a fish and was ready to thank nature for the gift. But then he found the fish was full of parasites wriggling around. Would you dare eat that fish? Another guy had even worse luck. He caught a rodent, thinking his food problem was solved, and carefully prepared it. He cleaned it thoroughly, removing the smell and the innards, and roasted it over the fire. The aroma was mouth-watering. Truly, the best flavor comes from simplicity. But after eating it, he ended up vomiting. He vomited terribly. Meanwhile, another contestant faced her own bad luck, injuring her hand while setting a mousetrap before it was even ready. If the cut had been any deeper, she might have had to quit and go home. I wonder if she's just unlucky or not skilled enough. Let's see what else the contestants have been up to. It's the 6th day of the challenge. One contestant has already dropped out due to injury. Let's check in on Donnie. He has built a temporary shelter. The good news is that the snow has stopped. He can finally lie down and enjoy the sunlight. Surviving in the wild is exhausting. After a brief rest, he must resume his tasks. Not everyone can manage this. He needs to collect moss before it snows again. That way, he can sleep well at night. His shelter is called a bear den. In theory, it should keep him warm even in sub-zero temperatures. But he needs to stockpile enough firewood. Otherwise, it could be a rough night. Now, he just needs to keep adding moss. If he adds enough, he won't have to worry about the cold. Staying here makes him miss his wife. He wonders how she's doing and wishes he could see her, but knows it's best to finish this properly, so she can rest here when she visits. He served in the military and learned many survival skills. The Arctic environment is extremely harsh. Even though he's been to many places, he finds the Arctic the toughest. But he's confident. The biggest challenge is missing his family. He hopes to turn that longing into motivation. Another concern is his heart condition. He's getting ready to make a throwing stick. Don't underestimate it. It may look like a random stick. He's bound to catch something. The final product looks decent, but it's uncertain if it can actually hit an animal. Looks like he's got some skills. Now let's check on Jordan. His shelter is already built. He's hoping to call in a paper gyroscope. If he can hunt one, he could win the prize money while lying down. Better scout the area for food. Jordan had set up small traps earlier, mostly to catch squirrels for a snack. Catching a rabbit would be best, but there are no signs of them around. The traps look decent though. If triggered, they can come down hard. Winter is approaching fast. Let's see if the traps will be useful.
As time goes by, the temperature will only get colder.
Without enough food, he can't outlast the other contestants. Plus, losing weight too quickly might get him disqualified by the production team. This really makes Jordan anxious. He promised his kids he'd win. He loves outdoor living and often invites friends for gatherings. He's quite afraid of leaving due to loneliness. By connecting with local indigenous folks, he picked up crucial winter survival skills, which could prove useful in the challenge. He's doing his best to survive in the Arctic. He already has a plan for hunting moose, hoping to show his family that they can rely on his wife while he's away. Does anyone know what the couplet says? Jordan explores the surroundings a bit.
That's where
he lives. No signs of animals along the way, which feels like a waste of time and effort. There are burn marks everywhere from fires. Wildfires can wipe out many animals, making it hard to hunt here. This frustrates Jordan to no end. He has to look elsewhere for game, and things just keep getting worse. Now, let's see how Nikki is doing. She's still in her sleeping bag, dreading getting up. She wishes she could sleep through the whole challenge. It's like how I never want to get up for early classes. If she could stay in her sleeping bag a bit longer, she definitely would. But that's just dreaming. She has a lot to get done. Resting too long makes him crave a shower and bed. Today, he plans to gather firewood for a better night's sleep. He spotted some perches nearby, which are great for mouse traps. Setting them up near the mushroom patch would be perfect. He wants to protect the food from mice, so he'll use small sticks as supports and put a big rock on top. He cleans up the excess parts, and now it looks much better. Then, he makes a cut here. Surviving in the Arctic wilderness can really make you feel lost. He doesn't even know what to do next and is already thinking about giving up. But he's determined to stick it out. He refuses to be the first to quit and aims to last at least a month. So far, he's only eaten mushrooms and berries. The worst part was injuring his hand while setting a trap. Now he just wants to go home even more. First, I need to clean the wound well. We all have first aid kits, so I can manage this on my own. After all, calling a doctor could mean disqualification. Fortunately, the wound is small and just needs some bandaging. Despite his caution, Nikki was in serious pain, crying out loud from his hand injury. Hopefully, the wound won't get infected or anything. Nikki's mood took a nosedive, but at least the bleeding stopped. Fortunately, it didn't hit the bone. He's determined to avoid infection because he doesn't want to quit the challenge or face any health problems. He could only keep pouring alcohol into it to disinfect it, and the pain was so painful that he was about to faint on the ground, and he had to know that there was a wound infection in the wild. That's not as simple as it sounds. Nikki now has to put her hand in a glove to make sure the wound doesn't. The problem is, this means she's basically down one hand for work, which really affects her productivity. I'm at a loss here, just hoping her wound heals fast and stays infection-free. Not easy, though. But honestly, I'm feeling really low. Can he make it? The camera cuts to Ray, who has his fishing gear ready. He spots seagulls daily, suggesting fish might be nearby. Ray sees this as a good chance. He quickly heads over to see what's up, thinking he can fish there since seagulls have sharper eyes than him. He is a search and rescue dog trainer and usually takes his dogs for outdoor training. He loves survival challenges in the wild. It's completely different from staying at home. It makes him feel excited, and his survival skills are quite comprehensive. The only issue is he's never been to the Arctic. He's unsure if he can handle the cold and will miss his family deeply. He worries about his family and hopes to win the prize money. With his skills, he believes he shouldn't lose to others. He even prepared bait to catch fish. By now, he should have been eating fish, but the past few days have yielded nothing. This makes him question if there are any fish at all. How else could he not catch one? He always trusted his fishing skills. Just as he was ready to quit, he felt a tug. He reeled it in, and though the fish was small, its survival instinct was strong, and it took some effort to reel it in. Ray's heart finally settled. The catch was quite decent. He had to document it well. The first fish in the Arctic was truly amazing. He quickly cleaned the fish. If he could catch fish every day, he could smoke and store them. Then, he'd have meat for winter. Just as Ray felt confident about winning, he noticed something off. Oh boy! The fish was crawling with parasites. Would you eat it if you saw that? Ray figured thorough cooking would make it safe. It shouldn't upset his stomach. He quickly cleaned the fish. The gray jay in the tree was drooling. Fortunately, he could give the fish to the bird, so no more parasite worries, right? Ray felt quite generous. He hoped his next catch would be parasite-free. On day 7, the camera turns to Donnie. Despite his heart condition and need for rest, Donnie stays active while working. Tomorrow, he plans to fish by the shore. If he catches a big fish, he might build a smoking rack. Eating dried fish every day in winter wouldn't be bad. He's gathered plenty of firewood. Now, he'll search for food. His daily energy needs are high. He's constantly anxious about fainting and ending up in a hospital. All he's managed to find are some berries. No matter how many berries he eats, it's useless. He needs to find some meat. His father hasn't even seen a single squirrel. He feels overwhelmed by the pressure. Suddenly, he hears something and rushes to the shore to check. Wow! He actually found a muskrat. One hit would have been enough, but he keeps hitting it a few more times. He wants to make sure it can't escape. Finally, he can eat some meat. Donnie is in a great mood now, to be honest. But there's really not much meat. One bite and it's all gone. When handling the muskrat, he must remove the smell first. If he breaks it, the meat will stink. He also has to check the liver for spots. After some work, he gets a small amount of meat to eat. But it's better than nothing. Meanwhile, Michelle is showing the scenery on camera. I must admit, the Arctic is stunning. Make sure to bring plenty of food, or you'll end up like her, finding nothing. Her stomach growls with hunger. She hasn't seen a fish yet and seriously suspects the show is targeting her. She tries another spot. Back home, she always caught fish easily, but here, she has no luck at all. She lives in a remote area, rarely seeing anyone for a week. She's loved hunting in the wild since she was a child. It's the only way to get extra meat. Although life is tough, for her, it's all valuable experience. She believes she can handle harsh environments unless she gets seriously ill. Otherwise, she's confident she can last till the end. She just misses her family a bit. She wonders how they're doing without her. Winning the prize would mean she could achieve freedom and experience different lives around the world. She had high hopes before coming here, but now it's miserable. Suddenly, she sees something. Wow! There's no food, but she finds a discarded oil drum. She has a bold idea. It would be great for a boat. Even if it sinks, she can use it as a bath. She finally feels more confident about finishing the challenge. Meanwhile, Donnie has put the muskrat on a rack to roast. It looks charred, but it smells good. One bite, and it's crispy with a chicken flavor. It's been a long time since I've had meat. Tang and I felt incredibly unwell, but unfortunately, there wasn't much meat. Probably need another 7 or 8 to barely feel full. No need to add any seasoning. The original flavor is the best. After eating, it's back to chopping wood.
As the weather gets colder,
The demand for firewood grows daily. Originally planned to work until dark, but suddenly felt very unwell, like my stomach was burning. There must be something wrong with that meat. Tang and I's stomach hurt terribly. Could it be parasites? If I'd known it would be this bad, I'd have stuck to water. Hopefully, I'll feel better tomorrow. On the 7th day of the challenge, let's see what Nicky is up to. His wound is healing well, as long as he doesn't aggravate it. In a few days, he should be able to work normally. Nicky feels he can keep going, even with only one functional hand. He still needs to keep chopping and moving wood. Michelle is a bit better. She finally removed her boots after a long time. The odor was pretty strong, and her socks were damp with sweat. She'll have to dry them daily from now on. The oil drum found yesterday is ready to be processed. Winter is about 2 weeks away, and getting food during this time is crucial. There's no way to catch fish from the shore. She'll have to use the oil drum to make a small boat to fish in deeper waters. Making the boat isn't difficult. Just need to add vertical supports and boost buoyancy, so it won't sink. She isn't sure if it will float. Only way to find out is to throw it in the water. Michelle also made bait from paracord, theoretically making it easier to catch fish. Everything's nearly set. She can toss it in the water now and check. The outcome exceeded expectations. Just let it drift and watch. On the 8th night of the challenge, Tang Ni felt extremely unwell. He couldn't calm his stomach all night. It kept spasming, feeling like his intestines were being pulled out. His body was already depleted, and now even water seemed to be running out. The main concern is his heart condition, which isn't stable. He's scared of being bedridden for life. He barely survived the night. Tang Ni appears even more worn out. Upon rising, he vomits again. Given his condition, he shouldn't keep going. Tang Ni desperately wants to reach a hospital for antibiotics. It feels like centipedes are burrowing inside him, and he wishes he could cut them out. The worst part is the dull chest pain, signaling his heart condition is flaring up. He can't continue like this. Who would have thought that a tiny shrew could bring down a grown man? Tang Ni is feeling really down right now. Whenever he gets upset, his chest pain intensifies. He wishes he didn't have to leave like this, but for his health. He has to contact the show's crew. They expected Tang Ni might quit, but not this early. Next time, they should choose a healthier participant, since not everyone can handle the wild. Tang Ni was very emotional when he cried. If it weren't for that shrew, he might have had a chance to keep going. Tang Ni doesn't even know what to say. He keeps apologizing to the camera, feeling he's let his family down. The shelter was ready for winter. He was just about to start hunting, but it ended like this. Hopefully, he can go back and get his health checked soon. Who knows what will happen next? Let's wait and see together. The contestants might gripe about hunger, but they're secretly stashing food to take home. Just look at how well they are eating. This fish alone can last days, and the roe, with its unique yolk flavor, is the tastiest part. It's completely natural and clean. Everyone who tries it loves it. Some even eat squirrels. Life keeps improving. I wonder how they manage to do it. Let's take a look. The challenge has reached its 9th day, and 2 people have already quit. The camera turns to Jordan. Today, he has had a bountiful harvest, successfully catching 4 rabbits, each of considerable size. He won't be hungry for a while and carefully preserves the rabbit fur. Jordan is surprised to find rabbit milk inside. It tastes sweet and pretty good. He's eager to try the stewed meat and is already thinking about his next meal. The best would be to catch a whole reindeer. Otherwise, he plans to fish by the shore. Rabbits don't have much fat. To make it to the end, he needs to gather more fish. He thinks about his kids and wishes his wife could bring them here to share the experience. This place is quite suitable for a family vacation. Processing rabbits is quite simple. You just start peeling from the feet. The fur can be made into various things, provided it's kept intact. Once he has enough fur, he can craft items like hand warmers and scarves. Jordan thinks his start has been fairly smooth and wonders about his fellow contestants. Tonight, he's cooking a rabbit head feast as a reward. Without any seasoning, he hopes it still tastes good. Now, turning to Vonia, she's already improved her shelter. She spots sap oozing from a tree cut. It tastes sweet and quite good, and she thinks it could sell well as a drink. She takes a few more sips to satisfy her craving. She is very satisfied with her A-frame shelter. As long as there are no major issues, it should keep warm even in winter. However, this requires a lot of firewood. She plans to spend more time each day chopping wood. She must gather enough firewood to last 3 to 4 days. Even though she hasn't faced an Arctic winter, she can already picture its harshness. She feels very anxious but keeps working to improve her situation. Vonia is always learning how to survive in the wild. She enjoys trying different foods and aims to survive on her own, just like people did in the past. Vonia's survival skills are remarkable. She can hunt and process game all on her own. I came here to test my limits and hope to showcase my energy on camera. I even did weight training before coming here. She believes she can make it through winter and possibly become the first female champion. She intends to keep improving her shelter. First, she needs to get the fire pit ready to retain heat longer. Vonia thinks things are going pretty smoothly. So far, everything's been smooth. She plans to add a door to block the wind. With a sturdy shelter, she can sleep better at night, which matters a lot to her. For now, she'll pause construction and focus on starting a fire to keep warm and get some rest. It's the 10th day of the challenge. Let's see what Nathan is up to in this great weather. Naturally, he's still in his sleeping bag, confident in his shelter. He dreamt all night about outsmarting a bison. In the end, he managed to take it down. Just as he was about to eat the meat, he woke up hungry. If only he had slept a bit longer. Just thinking about it makes his mouth water. He gets up to check the gill net. Nathan thinks the resources here are pretty good. Sure enough, he finds a fish in the net. It looks quite big. He won't have to worry about hunger for a few days. He's definitely lost weight since he arrived. He needs these big fish to nourish himself. Today, he's lucky there's even some fish roe to eat. He carefully handles it to make sure it's intact and not damaged. Although it smells really fishy, it's highly nutritious. These alone can keep him going for days. Nathan feels fortunate to have food. It tastes like fishy egg yolk. He can barely swallow it, but he manages. He quickly cleans the fish, using the inedible parts as bait. He thinks the fish will go for it and hopes to catch more before winter. He feels confident about his chances of winning. He needs to be careful while setting things up. With the water this cold, falling in could mean trouble for the show. He heads back to camp to rest, hoping the salt in the fish roe will take effect soon because he's feeling really dizzy. He's never felt this way before and fears it could impact the challenge. Quitting due to health isn't an option. Getting back to the shelter was tough. I feel awful. Later, I still have to cope with the discomfort and handle the fish. I can only rest a bit to recover. Could the fish roe be the issue? I wouldn't feel dizzy just from exhaustion. I'll lie down in my sleeping bag and see if it helps. My stomach is churning, and Nathan is now certain the fish roe is to blame. A wave of nausea hit, and I rushed outside to vomit. Had I known, I would have cooked some tree bark instead. The worst part is I threw up some blood. If it gets worse, I'm scared it might cause other illnesses. Nathan doesn't have a good solution. He can only rest and let his body protect itself. He's also considering whether to go home. He doesn't want to ruin his health for the prize money. He's had food poisoning before, but it was never this severe. He suspects the fish roe is bad. Why else would he feel so awful if it doesn't improve by tonight? He'll call a doctor for antibiotics. Is another contestant about to leave for treatment? On day 11, Barry is thriving and even shared stories on camera. If someone grabs your neck, you can pull their hand away like this if you're not strong enough. Kick forward with all your strength. Don't focus on defeating them, just kick and quickly run to safety for help. Barry hopes no one ever has to use this skill. Today, he plans to explore another area, hoping to hunt some animals to eat. So far, he's doing okay. His body doesn't feel any discomfort, as long as he can stockpile enough food. The prize money seems within reach. He didn't spot any animals, but stumbled upon a can, which is quite a lucky find. Whether for a pet or another use, it's very handy for Barry. He plans to make bait and set traps with it. Suddenly, he feels rich. He hurries back to the shelter to process it, starting by polishing the surface. Then he molds it into a fish-like spoon shape and adds a hook to the end. With a bit of luck, he might still catch fish with this. Barry even spirals the tail to mimic a small fish swimming. The idea seems solid, but its effectiveness is uncertain. Barry has long prepared for this challenge, willing to risk his health for the prize money. Growing up poor, the prize money is extremely important to him. He has to put everything into this challenge. He can't afford to quit over minor issues, even though he has no experience using a can as bait. But he watched some short videos and figured it seemed easy enough, so he gave it a shot. The result looks a bit rough. Still, it should work to attract fish. He's in a good mood, eager to see how many he can catch. Barry found a good spot by the shore to fish, trying to cast the hook as far as possible. He hasn't had meat in a long time. He expected it to take a while to catch something, but to his surprise, he got a bite quickly. Sadly, he couldn't reel it in. The worst part is the fish took the hook, so after all that effort, he lost it. He was in a foul mood, questioning the luck of this place, but there's no time to dwell on it now. There's still plenty to do. If not for the prize money, Barry would have dived in to catch the fish himself. He feels he's done well enough, but his luck is just a bit off. Now he's cold and hungry with nothing to do. As time passes, he misses his family more and more. Even the prize money doesn't seem worth staying. He needs to return to the shelter and calm down. He can't give up the challenge over this setback. On the 12th day of the challenge, Brady upgraded his shelter again. Now it should surely keep out the cold. Recently, he's been dreaming of an Arctic vacation with his family, and everyone finding plenty of food. He even brought back a deer. They spent a lot of time preparing and cooking it, working most of the day to get everything ready. Just as they were about to have a party, his stomach woke him up. Today, he needs to find more food, or his stomach will keep growling annoyingly. Only a few blueberries are available. He hasn't caught any fish lately. The berries don't provide much energy, and eating too many makes him sick. The key to surviving in the wild is maintaining a steady pace. You can't rush, you need to take it slow. Only by doing this can you stay in the Arctic longer. He spent some time in the military, and now he wants to see how trainees survive in the wild. With training, they can endure any harsh environment, making flexible use of whatever they find. Even common food items can be turned into ropes. I haven't yet experienced an extreme environment like the Arctic. It's really not something an average person can endure. If I win the prize money, I can teach others how to survive here. The only thing I'm worried about is my kids at home. Caring for them has made my hair fall out, and my wife was diagnosed with arthritis on our honeymoon. She typically needs a wheelchair to move around. I hope she can manage herself and the kids while I'm away, and I plan to use the prize money for her treatment. This is incredibly important for our family. Brady won't give up because of hunger. He's already prepared to endure it. Surviving in the wild is incredibly tough. With snow starting to fall, the days ahead will be even more challenging. I need to quickly see if there's anything edible nearby. Suddenly, I found animal bones, which means there are wolves in the area. Brady finds this really frustrating. The wolves must have eaten everything in the past few days, leaving no meat for him. But he can use the bones for bait since there are many useful things around. He initially just wanted to gather trees for processing. Unexpectedly, he discovered a large cow skull near the shelter, which means he'll need to stay vigilant for wolf attacks. Brady feels worse and worse. There's a lot he needs to do, and he has to stay alert to avoid being attacked. If this keeps up, he'll eventually break down. Ray's struggling too. He's only got berries to eat. He finally spotted a squirrel in a tree, but it's a bit far away, and he's starving. Maybe he can try a stealthy approach. Ray really likes that squirrel and wishes he could see it every meal. Ray watched for a while and figured traps were more dependable. He didn't want his arrows getting stuck in the tree. Scissor traps work best for small animals. He just needs to shave the branches, split them, and thread a line through. This is how it looks when done. Once a small animal steps on it, it will be trapped. Ray plans to make more traps and has added berries to them. He's confident he'll catch at least one squirrel. While squirrel meat isn't much, it's enough to curb his craving. He wonders what the meat tastes like. The traps are set. Do you think Ray will catch a squirrel? Check out how strong these traps are. Can any squirrel escape? It's now day 13 of the challenge. Nathan realizes his condition isn't getting better. The food poisoning is severe despite his preparations. His early survival attempts were successful, and he refuses to quit. Despite his discomfort, he keeps working, questioning the safety of the fish meat. Is the fish meat still safe to eat? Nathan considers it a minor setback. He decides to eat what he can and reassess after holding on a bit longer. Despite his extreme hunger, Brady prioritizes preparing the bait correctly before fishing, using orange fabric to lure the fish. He uses bone hooks, thinking they'll work better than store-bought ones. This time, he opts for a smaller setup to see how it performs. He left the bow and arrow behind, knowing most contestants struggle to use them effectively. He thinks it's smarter to use a different tool since hunting deer isn't his priority. He's focused on catching fish. I headed to the shore to fish, hoping the bait works. Brady is confident that catching just one fish will make a difference. He originally thought it would take a long time, but to his surprise, a fish bit the hook quickly. I quickly reeled in the fish, amazed by its size and beauty. At last, I can enjoy a good meal tonight. I hope everything keeps going this well. Meanwhile, the camera cuts to Ray, who senses a tense atmosphere. He reluctantly dances for the camera, feeling silly and hoping it won't be aired. He picks up his bow and goes to check the traps, hoping for some meat. The traps seem to have gone off successfully, but there was no prey in sight. Just as Ray was about to curse his luck, a squirrel came out to taunt him. Angry, he picked up his bow and shot it. To his surprise, the arrow hit its mark. So, the traps were just to lower their guard. The real key was his bow and arrow. In the next moment, he had a squirrel in his hand. It wasn't very big, just enough to satisfy a craving. I quickly skinned it. Honestly, I didn't really want to eat squirrel. I was just curious about what it tastes like. It smells a bit like chicken. As soon as I tasted it, the flavor was even richer. Ray realized he could definitely eat more and invited everyone to try it. It's way better than your instant noodles. Meanwhile, the camera moves to Michelle, who is setting traps. He hopes to catch some food. Once done, he heads to the shore to inspect the fishing boat, which turns out to be less useful than he thought. It feels like it's just for show, even for someone who loves fishing like him. He doesn't know how to catch fish. He's more concerned about the mental toll than the hunger. This place can easily break someone. He stays occupied to keep his mind off things. Not catching fish won't slow him down. He decides to check the traps now. After setting so many traps, he's bound to catch something, right? Suddenly, he spots something. Unexpectedly, the trap caught a grouse. He is in a great mood and plans to savor the meat tonight. It's a bit disappointing that he didn't catch any fish, or he would be even better off. Michelle considers setting more traps. He believes he will catch more grouse later. Should he steam it or braise it? Let's see what Ray is up to after eating the squirrel. For some reason, he feels even worse. Now he just wants to cry in front of the camera, feeling that the squirrel shouldn't have died. Oh man. You were happily smiling while eating it, but Ray doesn't care. Even if he cries, who knows how long he'll be sad before calming down. He looks like he's ready to go home. As night falls, Michelle is happily eating the grouse. If he could get one every day, he thinks he could win the prize. Everything was going well. Until a spark suddenly landed on his shelter. The smoke is getting thicker, and Michelle realizes there's a big problem. No one expected the shelter to catch fire. Can he put it out? Let's wait and see. Surviving in the wild is becoming harder each day. Once, contestants could hunt grouse and enjoy its delicious, chicken-like flavor. Back then, we thought things would get better, but now we can only eat some ginger and berries on a good day. If we're fortunate, we might make a potato cake, but meat is so rare that eating it feels like nothing. How do the contestants endure such hunger? How do they keep going? It's day 14, and 8 contestants remain. The camera now focuses on Michelle. Yesterday, her shelter was wrecked by a fire, likely because the moss wasn't covered with clay. But the weather is so cold that the moss is frozen solid. She can only stare at her drafty shelter. Today, she must repair it again. This will consume even more energy, making her mood worse. It's starting to snow lightly outside. Today's plan is to chop and transport wood, but this time, she won't use moss. She'll try other materials for insulation. She hopes to avoid another fire. Food is a major issue, and it's giving her a terrible headache. Just bringing back a few trees has left her breathless. Once the shelter is built, she can't wait any longer. She must quickly apply the clay. Otherwise, it will freeze and be hard to cover. This is a heavy test for her body. The best way to complete the challenge is to find inner strength. Michelle is determined to work until nightfall. The lengthy task has thrown off her plans, and she still has a lot to do. This won't be fixed with just a little effort. Michelle is under a lot of pressure and is already thinking about going home to rest. For now, she can only take it day by day. Despite slim chances of winning, she aims to test her limits. She hopes to make it through the month before heading back. Her struggle continues, and the 15th day is approaching. Jordan slept so soundly that she missed a moose passing by, only realizing it in the morning. Today, she aims to track the moose and hopefully hunt it, boosting her confidence in finishing the challenge. Her shelter still needs some upgrades before winter. For now, she's just filling her stomach with some rabbit meat. But there's no fat in it, so no matter how much she eats, her body won't get better. It just makes her feel hungrier. We need to get some fat. Moose have lots of it. One moose could last us until the end of the challenge. Jordan's luck is good. She just got here and already found tracks, likely from the moose that passed by last night. She follows them to see if she can find it. From the pile of weeds over there to this spot, her shelter is just across. The distance isn't very far. If the moose passes through here, she might have a chance to hunt it. Opportunities like this don't come every day, especially when you really want it. Jordan plans to set up a warning system for the moose, so even if she's asleep, she'll be woken up. The can she found is ideal. She'll attach it to a string leading to the rocks. If the moose touches it, it won't be scared off. It will signal her to prepare with her bow and arrow. Now, she just has to wait for the moose. Meanwhile, Nicky has set up his mouse traps, but none of them have gone off yet. He thinks the cold might be keeping the mice hidden. He inspects the other traps. This trap seems to have worked, but Nicky isn't sure. He carefully lifts the stone to see if there's a mouse underneath. Seeing a mouse lying there, he finally feels relieved. The mouse is quite stiff. It feels like he could use it as a stone to throw. Nicky takes it back to savor it. There's not much meat on it. He skewers it on a stick and roasts it. The aroma is something he hasn't smelled in a long time. It almost makes him cry with joy, but there's only a little meat to eat. He pairs the mouse with some blueberries. It looks a bit strange, but it makes the meal more flavorful. It doesn't seem like he's eating a mouse. Nicky alternates bites of blueberry and meat, feeling more hopeful. There must be more mice around. If he can catch them all, he might just manage to fill his stomach. For now, he snacks on them but knows he needs bigger game. Squirrels are the easiest to find. He plans to hunt a few and then check other areas. He hasn't been here long when he spots a squirrel. It's taunting him from a tree. He grabs his bow and arrow and creeps closer. When he's close enough, he aims and fires, but misses. He can still hear the squirrel chattering. Luckily, it hasn't run far. The branches on the ground are a bit annoying. Nicky picks up his bow and tries again. He sees the squirrel fall from the tree. He rushes forward to grab it. Unexpectedly, the squirrel still had some fight left. Nicky apologized aloud, but tightened his grip. In the end, he managed to catch the squirrel and rushed back to the shelter to clean it. It should have been a joyous moment. No one anticipated Nicky would hurt himself with his own sword on the way back. How could he be so careless? The worst part was that it was the sword he used to kill the squirrel. The biggest fear now was an infection. He could only clean the wound thoroughly. The wound was small but deep, seriously impacting his mood for the challenge. Before treating it, he made sure to set up the tripod first, showing his dedication. For now, he could only clean the wound simply. Then he bandaged it up. He didn't want blood all over the shelter, attracting animals. He felt his body temperature dropping and knew he had to start a fire quickly or he wouldn't make it. Fortunately, the fire started quickly and Nicky felt much better. He even considered stuffing grass into the hole in his leg. The wound seemed clean and he hoped it wouldn't cause issues. Getting disqualified by Jemsu would be awful. He covered the wound with a bandage, hoping to avoid infection. He couldn't afford any more mistakes. Nicky wasn't ready to give up yet. Though walking was awkward, he kept going. Nicky felt pretty good about it. On the 16th day of the challenge, the camera switched to Ray. He woke up to see a squirrel moving around. Ray tried to aim and shoot it, but he missed by a lot. After all this time, he had only caught one squirrel. Where were the promised abundant food resources? It seemed like a ploy to make them starve. Ray felt himself growing weaker. If this continued, he would be eliminated for not having enough weight. He needed to upgrade his shelter. Otherwise, he'd turn into a chocolate popsicle come winter. He gathered as much moss as he could to insulate the shelter. In theory, it could block the cold wind and keep the heat inside, besides taking a lot of time and effort. It seemed to have no drawbacks. If he could eat daily, Ray actually enjoyed the simple survival life. Living simply every day, without the stress of city life. The shelter was almost fully covered. Though a bit weary, Ray feels proud of the progress and believes it can endure the winter. Next, it's all about finding food. Ray looks increasingly haggard. The camera shifts to Jordan. He remains in the shelter, contemplating hunting tactics. The wind is ideal for tracking prey now. No need to worry about being detected. If they pass by the nearby swamp, he'll notice immediately. He's been practicing moose calls lately, hoping to attract one. Remember to use the call properly. Jordan tries out the call. It does sound a bit like a moose call. Not sure if it will attract a moose, but he waits a few minutes to see. Instead of a moose, he attracts crows. When bears move, crows sometimes get startled too. The noise outside is intolerable, and he longs to shoot the crows with an arrow. Suddenly, the alarm sounds. It's likely a moose wandering nearby. He grabs his bow and slowly goes to check. Jordan doesn't see any animals. He doesn't know where the moose is. After careful observation, he finally spots it strolling by the shore. Jordan tries to shoot the moose. Unfortunately, it's too far. The arrow lands just at its feet. If it were a bit closer, he'd probably be dealing with the moose now. Since it has appeared several times, he must focus most of his energy on it. If he can hunt the moose, this challenge will be much easier. He retrieves the arrow and takes a good rest. Do you think Jordan has a chance to win the prize? It's day 17 of the challenge. The camera shifts to Vonia. She almost wanted to quit last night. But thinking about how long she's been here, why not keep going? Her goal is to last 94 days. It seems no female contestant has stayed that long. She not only wants to win, she aims to show she's equal to men, so finding food is crucial. Today, she gears up to revisit the original spot, hoping to bring back some food, otherwise her body won't hold out. The Arctic weather is no joke. Even resting burns a lot of calories, not to mention doing daily tasks. Most people would quit after a few days here. I'm pushing myself to go out even though I feel awful. All I can find are some berries, and I'm trying to collect as many as possible before winter arrives. Father's leaves are getting yellower each day. Soon, the berries will wither too, leaving even less food to eat. Anyway, Vonia is eating whatever she can find to quiet her stomach. My father hasn't spotted any animals. His anxiety is growing. He can't bear the thought of starving. Then, he suddenly sees a moose's antlers on the road. This showed that animals were still nearby. The branches from the lakeside to the reed beds appeared freshly nibbled. If I could hunt a moose, it would change everything. This area is the best habitat for moose. I'll walk along the coast to look for other food sources. Hopefully, I can find some small animals to eat, but so far, I've had no luck. Suddenly, something seemed to flash by. Without thinking, Vonia shot at it. It turned out to be a grouse. Unfortunately, she only wounded it, and it flew off, leaving Vonia in a foul mood. How did that bird get away? Look at all the feathers on this sword. It shouldn't go far before collapsing. Vonia doesn't even know where to start looking. Plus, after getting injured, it will hide. It's really tough to do this alone. I'm worried other animals will find and eat it first. This thought made Vonia's stomach growl louder. She feels helpless. I can only choose a direction to search. The sword pierced through, but there's no blood trail. Vonia prays as she searches for the grouse, whose feathers blend seamlessly with the surroundings, making it hard to spot. He decided to head to the edge of the area and retrace his steps, hoping for a new discovery, despite his daily efforts to explore. But the gains have been minimal, which has left me increasingly weak. If only I could eat that grouse. Maybe I could last a bit longer. The grouse is badly hurt. It shouldn't have gone far. Suddenly, I noticed something sticking out. On closer look, it was the grouse. Vonia was nearly in tears. She will definitely cook it well and eat it all. In the end, she couldn't hold back her tears. Vonia will have to work even harder from now on. Otherwise, food concerns will persist. Vonia loves this place and wishes she could stay forever. She continually expresses gratitude to nature, wishing future days will be just as great. After spending so much time out here, it's time to head back and cook some meat. The feathers are stuck together with tears, making Vonia laugh. Another moose arrives on the island seeking a mate. Lei, utterly exhausted, gazes at the sea and decides to fish more today. But as usual, the unexpected occurred. Lei was a bit careless, but luckily he wasn't hurt by the rocks, just got his pants a little wet. It's not a big problem. He can continue fishing here. He used to enjoy fishing, but since coming here, nothing has gone smoothly. He wonders where all the fish have gone. It's spawning season, so maybe they aren't interested in this area. No fish are around. He suspects the producers are targeting him. Why else would they give him such a bad spot? Now, he's stuck gathering berries and hunting squirrels. He has no idea how many contestants are left, but he's sure no one has it worse than him. The berries are his only comfort, but he's much weaker now than when he arrived. Relying solely on berries won't cut it. He needs at least a big fish to go with them. If it weren't for the food issue, he'd actually enjoy this place and the solitude. But after all this time, he's only had one fish and one squirrel. Not everyone can handle this. He's already considering calling home. Staying here will only harm his body. The wind is getting stronger. It's better to head back to the shelter. He's quite afraid of going home, dreading the stressful city life. Why bother with a 9-to-6 job? He'd prefer hunger in the wild. Only those who've been through it can grasp his feelings. Lei praises the beauty of wilderness survival, but there's just no food. Check out Vonia next door. She's already caught and cleaned a grouse. His kids would definitely want to eat it. He'll put the meat in the pot to stew later. The innards can be used as bait. If he eats just a small piece of meat each day, he could last at least another week. The grouse is tastier than he imagined. This will be a crucial turning point for him. Next, I need to stockpile more food. That will boost my confidence about lasting until the end. My stomach feels warm now. I plan to explore farther away. Ideally, I'll come across a moose and hunt it. It's the 19th day of the challenge. The camera turns to Lei, who is so starved he's questioning his life. To conserve energy, he mostly sleeps. Lei has been relying entirely on Elle to get by. He still insists on exploring outside. He has given up on fishing for food. He spends his time gathering berries, aware it's not sustainable. But with nothing else edible around, he has no choice. His anxiety grew. Suddenly, he thought he heard an animal call. Listening carefully, Lei realized it was a moose. It was indeed some distance away. He really wanted to go over there. The thought of missing out on food made him feel worse. He wondered if this challenge was worth enduring until the end. Lei struggled with this decision for a long time. Ultimately, Lei called the show's producers. He couldn't bear the hunger any longer and craved a hearty meal at home. Lei chose to quit the challenge. It wasn't surprising at all. With so little food in 19 days, I would have quit long ago to have a big meal. When the producers arrived, Lei was very happy. He had stayed as long as he could. He thoroughly enjoyed this challenge. It's a pity he couldn't continue. If given another chance, he hopes to participate again, preferably in a place with more food. Among the remaining 7 contestants, who do you think will win the prize? The camera shifts to Jordan. He chose to actively search for the moose instead of waiting at the shelter, even though it would be energy draining. If he could hunt the moose, he wouldn't have to worry about food for a long time. First, he dismantled the alarm system. Otherwise, it would frighten the moose. He couldn't risk such a rookie error. He reflected on his father's life. His father lost both legs and the use of his hands due to illness. But he never gave up on life. He always faced hardships with determination. Jordan felt his situation was nothing in comparison. He believed he could definitely last until the end. Jordan became more emotional as he spoke. He suddenly felt like crying. He quickly started building some fences, hoping to guide the moose to a suitable hunting spot. He picked up his axe and began chopping. The surrounding trees were easy to cut. With a few chops, he had it all set up. This way, Tuolu could only follow the narrow path down. When he saw a tree blocking the way, he would rest there and wait for his hunting opportunity. On the 20th day, Jordan stayed up all night planning to hunt a moose, considering setting up snare traps. He wasn't sure what he could catch now. Suddenly, he noticed a moose not far away. Do you think Jordan will be able to hunt it? Let's wait and see. For survival, what's the best meat to eat? Many would suggest a whole rabbit. Just set the traps right, and in a few days, you can catch a rabbit to eat. Rabbit meat is good, but for the participants, it had to be venison. The man spent a lot of time and effort to process the deer meat properly. The deer heart alone, bigger than my face, is enough to sustain me. Every night, I drift off to the aroma of cooking meat. Just imagining it brings me joy. Let's take a look at how he did it. It's the 20th day of the challenge, and 7 participants are still in the game. The camera shifts to Jordan. No one expected him to actually hunt a deer. He was incredibly excited at that moment. The deer didn't drop right away and ran into the forest. Jordan wasn't concerned, he just had to wait for it to go down. Look at the foamy blood. It proves that the arrow just hit the lungs. Tuolu can't run far. Jordan can think about what to do with it. Suddenly, I saw the blood trail fading. Did I lose the deer? Jordan quickly refocused on tracking it. The deer couldn't be far. My anxiety grew as I searched. I should have chased it immediately. Even the show's writers wouldn't script it like this. Jordan knows he's in a rush, but must quickly calm down. He scans the ground for tracks, losing track of time. At last, he finds the deer, panting on the ground. To ensure the deer wouldn't get up and fight back, Jordan watched quietly, hoping it would soon breathe its last. He aims to process the deer and get it back quickly, while he could deliver a final blow to ease the deer's suffering. But the risks are too high. Acting impulsively isn't necessary. I just hope processing the deer later. It won't draw other animals, right? The deer turned its head toward him. Jordan feared it might attack. Now I'm really nervous. No, or I'd better shoot a few more arrows at him, and it's really nerve-wracking to look at each other. The camera first focuses on Paris. Each day, he wakes up and picks berries to eat. It's been ages since he's had any meat. His mental state is starting to fray. He feels foolish for eating so many berries. My teeth are stained. Paris thinks he'll need a deep dental cleaning when he returns. He's concerned it might be tough to remove. He decides to chew berries on the other side of his mouth from now on. After adjusting, he sets out to find more food, knowing berries won't be enough. All he can think about is cooking meat and wishing a deer would appear. Today, he plans to try fishing. Catching a big fish would be great. He's lost a lot of weight since arriving, but he's not too worried about being asked to leave the show. He just feels weaker and finds it harder to focus on survival tasks. The worst part is, whenever he's not busy, Paris can't stop thinking about his family. It's the first time he's been away from his wife for so long since they got married. He worries about how they're managing at home and feels an increasing urge to return. Fishing isn't yielding any results either. He has no idea how to get food next. The area is so quiet, there's no sign of any animal activity. Paris tries to motivate himself, thinking he can only take it one day at a time. Let's see what Brady is up to. Brady wonders how the others are faring, feeling like they're all hunting deer while he's starving. He wishes the crew would give updates on the others during health checks. It might encourage some to quit, but it could also boost everyone's morale. He's just so exhausted. He needs to find some food. Brady doesn't know what he'll encounter today. The surroundings are eerily quiet. He doubts he'll find much to eat here. At best, he might find some berries. Since arriving, he's been trying to adapt, but it's not going well. If he doesn't get enough meat in the next few days, finding food will be tougher once winter hits. He'll be stuck in his sleeping bag, hoping others give up first. He's only found a few animal tracks along the way. The path is too narrow for a deer to pass through. But it does prove there's food nearby, which lifts Brady's spirits a bit, even though he's experienced in survival. Nothing compares to this. It's driving him crazy. The deer droppings aren't fresh. So the deer might have wandered into another contestant zone. If you've seen past seasons, you know most people are starving. Few manage to hunt meat. Unlike others, he doesn't have a backup plan. Now, he's just trying to endure the hunger. When the day arrives for me to spread my wings, the focus returns to Jordan. He's been waiting endlessly for the moose to drop, but it just won't. Jordan is growing increasingly anxious. If the moose doesn't fall soon, he fears he won't have time to process it before nightfall. All he can do is watch and hope. Jordan's stomach growled louder and louder. He wanted to rush up and take down the moose right away. Just when he thought he'd have to wait longer, the deer rose, gasping for breath, in what seemed like its last burst of energy. Jordan waited until it finally collapsed. He was beyond excited. I cautiously went to inspect the deer. At last, a proper meal. This deer could sustain me for a month. If he rations it well, Jordan is confident he can stay here for 100 days. But now is not the time to get excited. He needs to hurry and process the deer thoroughly. Just carrying the meat back is exhausting. Jordan feels he's getting closer to the prize. Although I've never processed a moose alone, I did learn from the locals before. Not sure if I can finish before it gets dark. I'll aim to keep the hide whole. It can serve as a coat when it gets colder. I'll cut the meat into large chunks to carry back. Once the smoking rack is ready, I'll cut the meat into smaller pieces for smoking. Processing a moose is a huge task. Jordan worries about his stamina and watches for animals that might steal his food. I feel like the pressure has only increased since getting that moose. I should sleep less tonight. It probably won't be a quiet night. Jordan tried to unload the hind legs first, and I really hope that the weather will get better soon, so that the moose can be stored a little longer. Jordan isn't processing the meat very quickly, mainly because the knife isn't sharp enough. When working on the joints, it's like dealing with a giant snake. It took a lot of time and effort to get a leg off, and Jordan had to speed up to deal with it. Pull out the stomach and the guts, let the moose meat cool down to avoid spoilage, and look at this big camel meat. If it weren't for the fear that the animals around him would come over, Jordan would have wanted to cut meat and roast it on the spot to eat, and suddenly a stream of blood spurted out. It's an exaggeration, and it's probably the wrong place to deal with the stomach, and it's sure to attract other animals. Jordan endured the discomfort and cleaned it up. I have never encountered such a situation before. I have to say that the meat quality is really good. It's not like the last hunting trip. I punctured the membrane, and if I don't act fast, a lot of meat will get contaminated. I need to quickly sort this out. Despite my efforts, a lot of meat is still going to waste. So he couldn't be too happy when he hunted the deer. On the 21st night, Paris was hit with severe leg cramps out of nowhere, crying out in pain. She wished she could just take her leg off. The whole night was miserable, tossing and turning, and she considered calling a doctor several times. But Paris toughed it out. Can anyone help her relieve the cramps? She can't sleep well. Paris didn't even know how she made it to dawn. Her leg only started to feel a bit better then. So today, he plans to take a good rest. Not only can it be used for hunting, but it can also double as an air guitar. Paris feels much lighter now, but food is still a big problem, numbing himself until he died. He and his mother struggled a lot, so Paris needs the prize money to improve his kids' lives. It's his main motivation right now. If only the bait could be thrown just right. Now, let's check on Jordan's processing. For now, he has to stash the meat in the trees. I hope I can avoid being eaten by other animals, and Jordan was busy for a long time, and you can see that the trees are full of meat. This should be enough to last him a month or two. It's not far from his shelter, so even if animals come to steal it, he can quickly chase them off. Jordan built a high rack for the meat, polishing the poles smooth. I'm not afraid that rats will go up, and now he's going to go to the shelter to smoke meat, and hopefully it will last a little longer. The smell of blood is still quite strong. I don't know when it will be attacked. Where is the safest place to put this venison? Of course, it is in my stomach. Unfortunately, I can't finish it quickly. I'm worried about bears, but I have no better choice. At least here, I can somewhat protect it. The worst case scenario is that all the meat spoils. If I can make good use of the meat, Jordan is sure to win the championship. After smoking for a while, the meat now has a protective smoky sheen. This will preserve the meat. Tonight, Jordan will drift off to the aroma of delicious meat, a rare luxury out here. This is how to survive alone in the wild. Too much meat can be an issue. Jordan keeps hearing animals. He can't relax enough to sleep. To avoid being watched by animals daily, he must find a way to protect the meat. Jordan covers the meat with spruce branches, hoping to hide the scent. He doesn't want to spend all day guarding it. He wants to explore other areas and can't wait for all the meat to be gone first. Tonight, Jordan plans to make keepsakes while staying vigilant. Do you think something unexpected will happen? On the 22nd day of the challenge, Nathan's area was already getting covered in snow. The weather is going to get colder and colder, which isn't good for him. Cold winds keep blowing in at night. Despite the fire burning strongly, it doesn't help, he's still shivering. He hadn't planned to work today. But as soon as Nathan stepped out, he saw wolverine tracks. Maybe I could set traps to catch one. He's curious about the taste of wolverine meat, which he hasn't tried before. It might have been hunting rabbits or grouse at night. At least it proves there are animals around to hunt. He's eager to get some food and follows the tracks. Nathan hasn't spotted any animals in ages, mostly due to the forest fire. Without it, he'd have found food by now. The fire spread across the area, likely incinerating many animals. The showrunners picked a really awful location. I'm unsure if the wolverine will show up. After walking for ages, I only found a few tracks. The tracks gradually faded away, and to make matters worse, the wind picked up, erasing any clue of the wolverine's direction. Going forward won't help us find the way, and we might get lost. It's wiser to return to the shelter before the snow gets too heavy. Hurry back to the shelter to rest, or else the blizzard will trap us here. Nathan doesn't know what will happen next. He knows staying out means trouble. The blizzard spared the wolves. Some people face trouble and retreat, but he becomes more focused. Luckily, the shelter isn't far. Nathan feels much better after returning to the shelter. However, there's no food today, and his body is getting weaker. If the weather continues like this, Nathan won't be able to go out hunting for food. It might be time to consider going home. The camera shifts to Brady. He's showing everyone how to wash clothes in the cold without freezing your hands. I must admit, this method works well. Hopefully, boiling the water later is safe. Brady is quite happy with his wilderness washing machine. Unfortunately, it's only good for small items like underwear and socks. Now, he's off to the shore to fish. Big game isn't easy to catch. Survival out here mainly relies on fishing. One fish can provide energy for 3 to 4 days, which is much more efficient than a moose. Let's see if there's any catch today. After waiting for so long, he finally catches a fish. The line has to hold, it can't break. Excited by the big catch, he hurries back to the shelter to start a fire. He hasn't had fish in ages. With such a large catch, he must plan carefully to make it last for days. It's day 23 of the challenge, and Nikki is celebrating her birthday alone. Nikki has disliked birthday songs since she was a kid because no one ever sang them in sync. It was always painful to hear. Now, celebrating alone is much more comfortable. Although there's no big cake, it's definitely her most memorable birthday. Nikki is overjoyed, making a wish on her homemade candle, hoping for good health for her friends here. When daylight fully breaks, Nikki goes to check the traps. She has been setting traps around, hoping to catch some meat, but as the snow keeps falling, the traps become more conspicuous. Even though there are signs of rabbits around, none have triggered the traps. Nikki doesn't know what's wrong. Others seem to catch rabbits with ease, but after checking his traps, Nikki found nothing. His stomach growled louder. Just when he thought the day was over, he unexpectedly caught a live rabbit. Nikki immediately broke its neck. He said he really didn't want to do it, but he was just too hungry. Tears streamed down his face. He promised to eat every bit of the meat. Vonia also set up traps, unsure if they would work. Staying in the shelter still felt a bit cold. Chopping and collecting firewood every day was exhausting. Fresh snow had fallen, and Vonia felt the sharp drop in temperature, fearing his body might not endure the cold. He decided to check the traps, hoping to catch a rabbit. There were plenty of rabbit tracks around. The tracks led right to the traps, and Vonia felt hopeful. Suddenly, he thought he saw something. Upon closer look, it was indeed a rabbit, and a sizable one. This rabbit was a promising start, if more were around. He could achieve a steady supply of rabbits through the traps. The thought made him happy. He quickly processed the rabbit, noting its thin skin. He just needed to skin it close to the meat to get a perfect rabbit pelt. Vonia felt that one rabbit was still too few. Catching 2 more would be ideal, so the whole family could eat together. Vonia was already working on the rabbit pelt. In no time, he had a rabbit fur scarf, made entirely of rabbit fur, perfect for winter. It was still a bit damp, so he could wring it out to keep it from smelling. It could also serve as a rope, though that would be a bit much. Once it dried, Vonia planned to weave it. It would be great to get a few more rabbit pelts. The focus then moved to Jordan, ready to eat venison. He marveled at the size of the meat. Jordan felt this was the life. He took a big bite, savoring the taste. It was truly delicious. It was like a big piece of well-cooked chicken. He couldn't even describe how good it was, just kept stuffing his mouth with meat until he couldn't eat anymore. Meanwhile, Nikki started eating rabbit, pairing it with berries. He mentioned it tasted even better this way, and wished his family could join him. The heated berries were even richer. You all should try this, it's way better than that drumstick. I wish I could eat this daily. Staying here until the show ends wouldn't be an issue. Enjoying a rabbit leg. If he could win the prize money, everyone would be happy. The problem is rabbit meat is low in fat, so eating a lot won't help you gain much weight. Nikki was having a good night until he heard animal noises. He wasn't sure what it was. It sounded a bit like a wolf. It was wandering near the shelter. Nikki went out to check, but it was too dark outside. Using the camera's light, he couldn't see anything different, just the constant howling outside. Nikki crawled into his sleeping bag, hugging himself tightly and hoping for normalcy by morning. At last, daylight arrived. She stepped outside to identify the animal, hoping it was edible. The tracks in the snow unmistakably belonged to a large bear. It had been wandering near the shelter last night. Just thinking about it made her break out in a cold sweat. Do you think Nikki can keep going like this? Let's wait and see. They claim wilderness survival has no script, but how did this guy get a frying pan? Did he just stumble upon it by the shore? That fish looks better than anything I can cook. Is this a survival challenge or just a camping trip? The guy next door is already smoking fish. He's living the good life, even playing with a rabbit like it's a toy. I must say, this season's contestants are keeping things exciting. Who do you think will win? It's day 26 of the challenge. There are 7 people left. Let's check in on Nikki. As the temperature drops, his fingers are nearly frozen. He can only feel a bit better by soaking them in hot water mixed with pine needles, which helps disinfect them. After soaking, his fingers feel much better and he can clean them properly. Tonight, he's planning to make squirrel soup. Even though there's not much fat on it, just smelling a bit of meat is a blessing. Nikki feels weaker by the day. He tries to focus on his tasks, but often finds himself thinking about his family halfway through. This isn't a good sign. The food resources he can gather are limited. Relying on them alone will eventually send him home. The squirrel soup is getting more flavorful as it cooks. It looks plain, but when he tastes it, a subtle meat aroma spreads in his mouth. If only he had some seasoning. Nikki is very worried about his injury, which could easily worsen. If his recovery is slow, it will seriously affect his survival pace. Nikki doubts he can make it to the end. For now, he can only take it one step at a time. Suddenly, sparks fly up, although Nikki quickly douses them with water. The fire spreads too fast, lighting up the surroundings. Nikki tries to put it out, but it's not very effective. He has to start removing things from inside. It looks like Nikki might need to go home and rest. The fire is growing stronger and can't be stopped. Nikki worries it will spread further. If only it would snow now. After relentless effort, he finally gets the fire under control. Nikki looks at his half-burned shelter, feeling terrible. There's no way he can fix it now. Tonight, he'll have to huddle up to stay warm. How long do you think he can last like this? Nikki insists this isn't for show. I can't believe my bad luck. Who would have guessed my own fire would destroy my shelter? She's at a loss for what to do now. The worst part is Nikki might have burned herself while putting out the fire. She'll have to wait until daylight to check properly. My hands feel like they're about to give out. Nikki just prays for the night to end quickly, unsure of what to say. On day 27, the camera turns to Michelle, who spent the night troubled by animals. There's hardly any food here, yet they keep wandering around. Maybe they're attracted to the smell of his clothes. I wish someone would share some food. I haven't had meat in ages, and my sleep has been terrible. Michelle's face is looking worse each day. He's heading out today to find something edible. At least the bucket he found is still there. Unfortunately, the frame is broken, so he can't use the bucket to set hooks. He's too exhausted to repair it. The only thing keeping him here is the challenge. If the traps don't yield anything in the next few days, he might consider quitting. The success rate of fishing here isn't very high. He'll have to check the traps or maybe set up more around the area. Besides fishing, hunting has become his only food source. It's been a week since he last had meat, and just eating berries isn't enough. The traps aren't working well either. No animals are in sight, and he can't tell if it's due to poor setup. Or maybe there just aren't any animals nearby. Michelle finds this challenge far tougher than any of his past wilderness experiences. The worst part is that his body is getting weaker. Just walking a few steps makes him dizzy. If this continues, he's really afraid his body will give out. Michelle's mood is getting worse. If only a rabbit would show up now. His emotions are on the edge. He feels he's tried hard enough to face the challenge, but reality is harsh. There's no response. He urgently needs food to lift his fragile spirit. The camera returns to Nikki. She can't believe she burned down her shelter last night. Others see Nikki still smiling, but inside, she's heartbroken. If she wants to continue the challenge, she needs to repair the shelter today. Her body is already weak, and now she has to spend a lot of time and energy on it. Nikki worries her body won't hold up. Last night, it was mainly because of the buildup of charred bark. The sudden blaze prompted him to wrap the shelter in green branches, hoping to prevent future fires. Nikki intends to regularly clear out the charcoal. He vows to never join another wilderness survival challenge if another fire occurs. He estimates that repairing the shelter will take at least 3 days, which is an energy drain he can hardly afford. He spent the entire day repairing the shelter, leaving almost no food. To calm his hunger, he has to boil squirrel bones again. On the 28th day of the challenge, the camera shifts to Brady, who is about to eat the fish he just cooked. He found this pan by the shore. If I didn't know he was here for the challenge, I'd think he was on vacation. Brady seems to be living quite comfortably. If only his family were here, this place would be perfect for a relaxing holiday. He even suggests that everyone should try it out, but he's feeling low because the challenge means he'll miss his daughter's birthday. He really misses the food his wife used to prepare. Is he missing his family or just the food? Brady imagines the fish tastes like cake. The thought makes him hungrier and tempts him to quit and go home to celebrate. But he's truly worried about his wife managing their child alone and fears something might go wrong. His mood worsens daily. The camera then cuts to Barry, ever the showman. He even made a sign saying he's going to win and showed everyone how to spell victory. Recently, his fishing luck has been poor, and he needs to adjust his line. Barry is really having a hard time. Despite his cheerful demeanor, he's struggling a lot behind the scenes. Even sleeping gives him leg cramps. The main issue is the lack of food. Now, he eats whatever he can find. He checks his traps, hoping for a surprise. It's been ages since he's seen any rabbit tracks. Maybe the wolves got them all? He heads into the forest to search for food. Even spotting some tracks would make him feel a bit better. Just as he finishes saying this, he catches a rabbit. He's incredibly grateful for nature's gift. Although there's not much meat on it, he's not picky. Having a snack is a blessing. If Barry could catch a rabbit daily, he believes he could keep going. But he still needs to find a way to catch some fish. The rabbit's fat content is too low, only fish can help him last until the end. He plans to cook the meat and use the innards as bait. Barry feels this is a crucial turning point. Things are looking up. After all his hard work, he can finally savor a meal, taking a big bite. He can't quite describe the taste. Some chili for stir-frying would have made it better. Plain, it's a bit lacking. But he's just glad to have food. After eating, Barry crawls into his sleeping bag to rest. He plans to make a good strategy, but suddenly hears animal noises outside, startling him into immediate alertness. It sounds like a bear's growl. He wonders if his bow and arrow can fend it off. Barry worries it might attack his shelter, so for safety, he fires a flare. The bear indeed gets scared and runs off. Luckily, he acted early. If he had waited until he was asleep, the bear might have come in without him knowing. Barry probably won't sleep tonight, his heart pounding fast. Now he feels like a startled bird. Any noise outside makes him extremely nervous, keeping him on high alert all night. It feels like animals could attack from anywhere. The tension is palpable. Now that the bear knows his location, he's unsure if it will come back. He can only set up some defenses after dawn. Finally, he waits until the 29th daybreak. He often thinks about his role here. Is he here to find food, or to become food for other animals? The situation is dire. He must always be on guard. This constant vigilance will wear him down eventually. He can see around the shelter. If he hadn't fired the flare last night, he would have become the bear's feast. Though he has just one rabbit, he must hide it well to keep other animals away. Maybe placing it under a rock will do the trick. The bear shouldn't be able to lift it, right? When it comes for the rabbit, he can attack from behind. If he could hunt a bear, even if he doesn't win the prize, the whole world would remember the name Barry. The area next door is also a good spot. Walking along this path, do you think Barry has a chance to hunt a bear? The camera shifts to Nathan. He has rebuilt a bed inside his shelter, making it much more comfortable to lie on. Today, he intends to scout the area for food. The lake is beginning to freeze, and soon. I can try ice fishing. At night, you can often hear the ice cracking. It seems like it won't be long now. I wonder if there will be any fish today. Fishing here requires extra caution. Falling into the water would be a disaster. Luckily, there's a fish struggling on the line. Now, I just need to reel it in. Nathan feels he's doing quite well. At least nothing major went wrong, and he had food to eat. His main worry was hypothermia. Even with all my clothes on and sitting by the fire, I still feel a bit chilly. I hope this fish will help warm me up. Even though the fish was fighting for its life, it was no match for Nathan. He quickly had it in his hands. A fish this size could last 4 or 5 days. Nathan found the survival experience quite fascinating. He claims to have a week's worth of food. Can he really make one fish last that long? He's curious. How many contestants are still in the game? Everyone must be running low on food. No one's going to hunt a camel, right? Luckily, the production team didn't tell him the situation. Otherwise, quite a few contestants would have had a breakdown. Nathan is still dreaming about how to spend the prize money. He dislikes extravagance and waste. Ideally, he'd buy some farmland. A simple life is what he truly wants. He prefers a life free from work stress. Nathan is content as long as his family is happy and together. If Jordan didn't have so much venison, Nathan might have had a strong shot at winning. He aims to catch more fish before the lake freezes. He plans to smoke and store the fish unless a serious health issue arises. If not, he's set on staying until the end. The fish is almost done grilling. I take a bite and savor the long-missed taste of meat. I hope I can eat a bit more every day. Michel hasn't been as fortunate. He hasn't had meat in ages because the frozen lake makes fishing difficult. For now, he drinks ice water to calm down, though he's worried about slipping. Michel finds the water refreshing. The only regret is not catching any fish. Now, I have to check the traps. I knew I'd be hungry, but not this hungry. I didn't think I'd be this hungry. Turns out, the past participants weren't exaggerating. You only get it once you're here. I'm feeling so awful. I can't fathom how the others are managing. My body is at its limit. I desperately need protein to recharge. I haven't explored this area much, so there could be surprises. Suddenly, I noticed rabbit tracks heading towards the trap. Michelle immediately sped up to check it out. Sure enough, a rabbit was in the trap. Michelle was so thrilled she cried. It's been really hard for her. I haven't eaten in ages. I can't believe I've made it this far. If I could catch more rabbits, I could last a bit longer here. Right now, she just wants to let it all out. Oh my God, I'm in it. I want this so bad. Thank you, nature, for this gift, allowing me to keep going. The camera shifts to Vonia, where the coastline is completely frozen. She can now fish in deeper waters and chop trees quickly. However, she isn't ready for a snowstorm yet. She must quickly adjust to the current conditions because anything can happen. She never expected to get this far. Gathering these poles was exhausting, but they were just enough to build a wind-blocking outer wall. The cabin materials aren't ideal. To stay warmer at night, she built a double-layered wall filled with moss for insulation. Nights get much colder, so she worked until her lamp nearly died before resting. It's now day 30 of the challenge. The wall is now completed quite well. There's no need to worry about cold winds blowing in. It looks like a sandwich. It looks neat and very comfortable. Now there's no worry about losing heat too quickly, as long as there's enough firewood. She could sleep there all year, but her stomach won't last. Now, she needs to find food. Let's see how Paris is doing. His cans have already been tampered with, but he didn't react at all while sleeping. To refocus, he plans to find something to do. This is a brand new little path. It's clearly left by a fox. He follows the tracks to see what's going on. The fox has seriously disrupted his plans. He was supposed to have bear meat to eat, but now he's left hungry. The camera shifts to Michelle. After all her hard work, she finally gets to taste that rabbit. She's in such a good mood. Thinking back to the days of eating with my family, I wonder what they're eating now. Luckily, I have this rabbit to fill my stomach. I really wish they could be here with me. It's so tough being alone, except for talking to the camera. Most of the time, I just sit there feeling lonely, doing only what I enjoy. Michelle even calls the rabbit her partner. It not only brings me joy, but also swims in my stomach. After showing everyone the rabbit, it's time to invite it into my stomach. On the 31st day of the challenge, Brady feels something is off. Even though I caught fish last night, I just can't feel happy. I keep thinking about life with my family. It's been ages since I played with the kids. I hope they're doing well. My wife must be swamped lately. Reflecting on the wonderful moments shared, Brady's urge to go home intensifies. She's unaware of the remaining contestants. But I just want to go home and see them. Catching fish doesn't matter anymore. I'm overwhelmed by loneliness now. Before, I thought people who missed home were just making excuses, but being here made me realize I truly want to escape this loneliness. Nothing matters more than family. After much thought, Brady chooses to leave the challenge and return home. It's really a shame. There's still enough fish in the shelter to last the week, but he feels it doesn't matter anymore. Staying here is just a waste of time. Brady plans to dry his clothes tonight and pack up to go home tomorrow. He heads to his sleeping bag, savoring this final peaceful night, his thoughts consumed with reuniting with his family. Finally, on the 32nd day, Brady has lost all motivation to continue. He just wants to go home quickly and give his family a big hug. Some might say they only want Brady to bring home the prize money. Even so, he believes he's proven his survival skills, and it's time to go home to his family. The production team was surprised by Brady's decision to quit. He's in great shape and could easily last another 2 weeks. Brady also feels he could continue comfortably. Maybe it's just too easy, and he doesn't want to waste time sitting around. He'd rather go home and play with his kids. For him, it wasn't arrogance, he genuinely had the skills. Do you think if Brady had kept going, he would have had a chance to win the prize? Now there are only 6 contestants left. Who do you think has the best chance? Let's wait and see. While others fretted about wolves raiding their camps, this guy had already strung one up. Honestly, it looked pretty gross. He even built a meat storage platform that you can't climb without a ladder. The fat in the jars alone could last him several days. A few fortunate contestants landed large fish, yielding as much meat as a wolf. The fishing net worked wonders. It's a good lesson, but some had their food swiped by foxes. That's just bad luck. The unluckiest has to be this woman. She managed to shoot a squirrel with a bow and arrow, but still got bitten. I wonder if that bite will get infected and if she'll need to be evacuated. It's day 36 of the challenge. 6 contestants remain. Vanya is reinforcing his shelter overnight. He doesn't want the cold to affect his rest. A double-layered wall seems much cozier. The only problem is the door, which isn't very practical since he didn't account for diagonal beams during the reinforcement. Overall, it's already quite impressive. After a night of hard work and rest, Vanya checked his traps at dawn. He hoped to snag a rabbit for a meal, but there were no tracks, and the traps were buried in snow. He needed to reset the traps. He used to catch rabbits there, so they shouldn't have vanished so fast. He needed to eat more rabbits to sustain himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't last a week. His body felt extremely fatigued. Even a short walk like this consumed a lot of energy. The area around the traps was unusually chaotic. It looked like some animal had messed with them. Even the ropes were chewed through. Vanya suspected it was foxes. Rabbits don't cause that much damage. He feared the foxes had driven them off, making food even scarcer. He tracked the foxes to see what was happening. He preferred empty traps over letting foxes steal his catch. It's more frustrating than going hungry himself. The more rabbits he caught, the more foxes would come to scavenge. So, what should he do about his traps? The camera then shifted to Jordan. Eating meat every day can lead to dental issues. Even in the wild, you need to take care of your oral hygiene. A small stick like this is a good choice. Just bite on it. It not only protects your teeth, but also keeps your breath fresh all day. Jordan highly recommends everyone try it. It's 100% handmade and all natural. If you need it, just bring an axe and chop some. After Jordan finishes promoting the survival must-haves, it's time to check on the meat storage. There are a lot of fresh tracks nearby, which is not a good sign. Animals must have tried to steal food last night, coming within 50 meters of the shelter. They're really bold. Aren't they scared he'll hunt them with his bow? The wolves are the biggest threat, persistently seeking food. And they will keep returning. The meat doesn't seem safe up there. Jordan considers setting up an alarm system. So any approaching animals will wake him up. Maybe he can get more meat that way. Jordan suddenly has a bold idea. He decides to stay up tonight and wait for the wolves. I wonder, isn't he scared of being attacked? Let's see how Michel is doing. He's beginning to long for home again. Since arriving for the challenge, he's struggled with bad breath daily. No electric toothbrush, no toothpaste. He feels like he's brushing for nothing. The taste of charcoal isn't very pleasant. But at least it cleans his teeth. After brushing, he goes to check the traps, hoping to get some meat today. I wonder if anyone heard his stomach growling. He's worried he might forget to look for food. The good news is he spotted fresh rabbit tracks on the way, and they look big. Michel hurries to check them out. It would be great to catch it, but it's not that easy. Some animal escaped from the snare. Does this mean another day of hunger? He can only reset the traps and try his luck at the next spot. Although there are fresh signs here, Michel isn't happy at all because they are fox tracks. The rabbit was probably taken by the fox. There aren't enough rabbits here to begin with, and now there's a fox too. Things are getting worse. The whole way, there are fox tracks. Michel feels that even if the trap catches a rabbit, the fox will probably eat it. And indeed, the rabbit was eaten by the fox. The snare was torn apart. Even though he expected this, seeing it still makes him furious. If it weren't for the local ban on hunting foxes, Michel would set up a bunch of traps to get rid of them. Continuing like this isn't a solution. He needs to ensure the traps can catch food and prevent the foxes from stealing it. Surviving here is incredibly tough. Michel is still furious about losing her food. If I see that fox now, I could crush it with my bare hands. The camera then moves to Jordan. Tonight, he skipped crawling into his sleeping bag early. Instead, he plans to stay up all night guarding his food. The wolf is still lurking, but one thing is certain. The wolf was sure to come for the food, and he was prepared to chase it away at any moment. He wasn't letting anything take his food. This is about surviving to the end and winning. Suddenly, I hear a wolf outside, and Jordan snaps to attention. I was certain the wolves were by the food. I didn't think I'd encounter them right away. Fortunately, the wolf didn't attack, allowing me to return to the shelter to rest. I should have brought the axe earlier. Now, I have no clue where the wolf went, but at least tonight I can rest easy. I need this time to recover. I'll deal with the wolf tomorrow. It's day 37. When Jordan wakes, he checks his food. In theory, the wolf shouldn't reach the food, but the fat is gone. Jordan is livid, muttering curses. He'd rather eat up all the lean meat than lose the fat. You have to understand, the energy burn doesn't come from protein. In wilderness survival, fat is crucial for energy. Jordan felt really low at that moment. He couldn't understand how the wolverine climbed up and stole the carcass. Tonight, he had to catch it. Reflecting on the lost tasty fat, he pondered how many wolverines it would take to compensate. Jordan sat deep in thought. How can I protect my food and get rid of those wolves? The most important thing now is to pull myself together. He refuses to let this make him quit. After recovering the area with branches, Jordan gets to work. He plans to set up some traps around, no matter where the wolf comes from, if it dares to go near the food again. He's confident he can catch it. Of course, the traps need to be rigged with cans, so when the wolf passes by, I can hear the noise and come out to handle it. Jordan is sure this will work and starts gathering materials. Wolverines are incredibly fierce, even bold enough to challenge a wolf pack. If he could trap and secure one, a small wolf cub is manageable. The area isn't ideal for warning lines, so I'll do my best. I hope the wolf cub comes close enough to trigger it. Jordan is ready to take it down. Do you think he can hunt it? Let's anticipate tonight's events. Suddenly, it's late, and Jordan is watching the situation outside. The wolf cub is bound to show up. It's been ages since I've felt this bored, but if I can handle that cub, all this effort will be worth it. Jordan keeps encouraging himself, preferring to rest more during the day, rather than miss the wolf cub's nighttime activity. I wonder how the other contestants are doing. Apart from the wolf cub stealing my fat, I've actually been doing quite well. If I can keep this up, Jordan thinks he has a good chance of winning the prize. That way, I can achieve financial freedom and spend more time with my kids. I wonder how my family is doing. I miss my family and want to return. Being alone here is so isolating, the teacher reflects to the camera. Being here too long will mess with your mind. Suddenly, there's a noise outside. Jordan quickly focuses on observing. He suspects the wolf cub touched the can and quickly heads outside to check. No one knows what's happening with the cub. He cautiously walks over, too tense to bring the camera. He sees the wolf cub right there. He grabs his axe and rushes over. Looks like Jordan took care of the wolf cub. Now he's overjoyed, bringing the wolf cub in front of the camera. No one else has hunted one of these, right? Jordan is really ruthless, he even gutted the wolf cub. I'm curious about how the meat tastes. For him, it's not much meat, but he won't have to worry about food security anymore. He's in a great mood. If any more wolf cubs dare to come here and cause trouble, his axe is plenty sharp. On day 38, Vonia notices it's much colder outside. He'd rather stay by the fire than go exploring. He just wants to stay warm by the fire, but his growling stomach is hard to ignore. He can only wait for his hair to dry before going out to look for food. It's much more comfortable here after the smoke. After all, there are still foxes lurking around. In this state of hunger, Vonia worries his body won't hold up. I have to stay focused all the time to ensure nothing goes wrong. Wilderness survival really is a lot of work. The pressure increases day by day. I adjusted the traps again. As soon as a rabbit enters the snare, it will be caught right away, making it harder for the foxes to steal the food. Vonia believes this will be effective. Since he first arrived, his body has weakened, making even simple traps exhausting to set up. Despite the foxes' cleverness, they can't get in here to eat the rabbits. Vonia originally thought his survival skills were pretty good, but after coming here, he realized he still has a lot to learn. He used to believe most online contestants just starved without real skills, but being here made him realize that simply enduring hunger is impressive. He thinks about finding food daily, but the results are poor. Each day, he burns a lot of energy and feels intense mental strain, always thinking about going home to rest. He hopes the new traps will work to keep him going. She aims to be the first female wilderness survival champion. Do you think Vonia's traps will catch any food? I doubt it. Once back at the shelter, he quickly made some hot water to drink and crawled into his sleeping bag to rest, conserving energy. Conserving energy for daily tasks, Vonia feels miserable, constantly on the brink of starvation. Or nearly starving. He thinks about his family and misses the delicious meals at home. When he gets out, he plans to have a huge feast and use the prize money to travel and enjoy life. He quickly falls asleep, dreaming of roast chicken waving at him. He wonders how many contestants are left. He believes there can't be many contestants remaining since the harsh environment isn't for everyone. Meanwhile, Michelle next door is also hungry, thinking about how to set traps that won't be destroyed by foxes. If she accidentally kills a fox, she not only has to pay a fine, but also has to go through some education. Just thinking about it makes her feel terrible. Clearly, she's the victim here. She's getting weaker and feels lightheaded just standing up. She's lost a lot of weight since she arrived. Worried about elimination, Michelle was surprised to find a fox, not a rabbit, at the trap. It was clear the fox had come to hunt the rabbit, and there was nothing she could do about it at the time. All she could do was voice her frustration. The camera then shifts to Jordan. Justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent. He had already dealt with the wolves. Any wolf that tried to steal food would face the same fate. If more bold wolves appeared, he wouldn't hesitate to hang a few more. The priority now was to find a new spot for storing food. He decided on a high platform to keep it out of reach of wolves. He began with a standing platform and built upwards to keep animals from climbing. The crucial part was thoroughly cleaning the tree bark so the wolves couldn't grip it with their claws. The build turned out to be more physically demanding than anticipated. Only someone as robust as Jordan would be willing to do this. I wonder why they aren't worried about birds stealing the food. Are there no birds here that eat meat? Jordan had learned how to live comfortably in winter from the local indigenous people. He learned this building technique from them, and it could theoretically last 4 to 5 years without problems, barring a blizzard. If animals attacked, he could climb up and defend with a bow and arrow. The platform resembled this. Now, he just had to build a ladder to climb up. Jordan found the challenge fascinating, as he was trying many things for the first time. The experience was unique, and the stunning scenery made him wish he could invite friends and family. Before coming, his wife was worried about how he would manage, but it turned out he was living quite comfortably, whether it was building the shelter or storing food. Jordan had done an excellent job. Now, with the ladder, the food was stored even more securely. Unless something unexpected happens, Jordan seems poised to win the prize, while others still struggled with food. He was already enjoying the luxury of roasted meat. Could anyone be more comfortable than Jordan? On the 40th night, Barry also had a fox trying to steal from him. He stayed up all night and finally went out to check at dawn. The pot had a layer of ice, and drinking that water was incredibly refreshing, giving him a much-needed energy boost. Before arriving, I was concerned about grizzly bears, but it turns out foxes are more common. Surprisingly, foxes are sometimes tougher to handle than bears. The traps catch them, but they're not edible, and chasing them away doesn't work. They keep coming back, which is really annoying. Now, I can only rely on fishing for food. Using an old can as bait had been effective before. He believes that with proper use, it will keep him well fed with fish. He wasn't worried about running out of food. He cast the hook, though he was initially unsure if any fish were nearby. Unexpectedly, a fish bit the hook so quickly, and it was bigger than he imagined. Barry had to keep pulling to tire it out. Now the fish is struggling below. Using a stick, he tried to control it. The worst thing happened. The fish slipped away just as Barry was about to grab it. He wished he could dive in after it, feeling utterly foolish. That fish could have fed him for a week. At least the bait was still there, so he had another shot at catching more. But he felt really upset inside. On the 41st day of the challenge, Nikki was preparing to cook rabbit meat. Although there wasn't much meat on it, just smelling it was already a treat. This challenge hasn't been very smooth for her. She had several mental breakdowns, but Nikki persevered. She found joy in the struggle, boiling the bones countless times. She managed to get some meat, which she found incredibly delicious and highly recommended to others. It tasted like noodles, but there wasn't much of it. After finishing, she went out to find more food. Food is scarce in winter, and Nikki feels weak from the energy spent rebuilding the shelter. Otherwise, she could have had a slightly better time. Now, she's hoping to catch another rabbit. Unfortunately, there were no tracks nearby. Maybe they migrated elsewhere, but she did find some squirrel tracks. She quickly followed the tracks, hoping to catch it. Despite its small size, any meat was valuable. The squirrel sat on the tree, oblivious. Unaware of Nikki watching from below, the squirrel was easily shot down with her bow and arrow. But as expected, the unexpected happened. The squirrel, in a final act of defiance, bit Nikki. She might be the unluckiest in the challenge, facing injuries and even a shelter fire. It's amazing she's lasted this long. We still don't know if she'll get sick. For now, she can only clean the wound and wait. Not sure if there are enough bandages left. Nikki was in a really bad mood then, worried about getting rabies. Does anyone know the early symptoms? We can only hope for the best now. Nikki always seems to get hurt, and the bleeding won't stop. Hopefully, the bandages will stop the bleeding. Meanwhile, Barry crafted a fishing net to keep the fish from escaping back into the water. She's confident the fish won't escape now and proudly displayed the net on camera. Now, it's time to test it at the shore. She's already lost several big fish. If she'd made this net sooner, she could have stockpiled meat. She cast the hook and waited for a bite. This time it took a bit longer, but the bait worked well. First, she tugged to tire the fish out. As it neared the shore, she easily scooped it up. This catch was effortless and would provide food for several days. Will Barry be able to keep catching fish? Let's wait and see. Winter in the Arctic is brutal. My face is already iced over, and it hurts like hell when it falls off. It feels like it could break bones. Cutting it open brings pure joy. Such deliciousness can only be found in the Arctic. It's day for weather getting colder. Even wrapped in a blanket by the fire, he can't stay warm. It's hard to finish tasks. Nathan's struggling too. He's heating stones in the fire to warm his bed. No clue how the others are handling the cold. Jordan hardly slept, repeatedly waking to add firewood, using over half of it in one night. He spends much of his time chopping and hauling wood, but fortunately, he has enough stored meat and doesn't need to hunt. It's day 60 of the challenge, and at Barry's camp, the snow is falling heavily, making it very uncomfortable. So, he mostly stays in his sleeping bag, moving to stay warm. Meanwhile, Wanya keeps busy. 1 of the challenge. Nathan feels weaker and weaker. His traps aren't yielding much. He desperately needs food to regain energy. Otherwise, he might just collapse. No idea how the others are doing. It's day 62 of the challenge. Barry's situation is dire. His shelter is full of ice. It feels like he's lying in a freezer. When he heats the fire, the place fills with steam. How can anyone endure this? On day 63, Jordan made a special tool to weave a gill net. The cold has frozen his face, making it a hassle to clean. I couldn't survive a day out here. He scans the area quickly. Fishing appears to be the only chance. The lake ice is quite thick now. If he sets a net, he might catch something. Weaving the net is relatively simple. Why start now? Because now he branches. Regardless, he had set traps, hoping to catch a rabbit. Wanya was in a good mood as she got up to check the traps. There were signs of animal activity on the ground. But the traps were empty, hindered by the snow. Catching rabbits would be even tougher now. It was the first time Wanya felt so weak, with almost all his body fat consumed. At this time, he especially needed food. The most frustrating thing was that fox tracks were increasing. Even if he caught a rabbit, it wouldn't be good, as the foxes had cleaned the area. There should be no rabbits in this area. Wanya was in a very bad mood, having not eaten for several days. He was losing weight fast. If he didn't find food soon, the show would have to pull him out. I was just curious why he didn't go fishing. Wanya thought for a while and finally, if he didn't catch any fish, he'd have to go home and sleep. He had planned to use the intestines for soup. Now he could only hope to trade them for a fish. Wanya was quite helpless about cleaning the intestines because they were really disgusting inside. He pushed through the discomfort, cleaned them well, and cooked a few to try. The taste was better than he expected. He could still eat them to curb his cravings. By day 65, Barry missed his family deeply. He wasn't as enthusiastic as at the beginning, spending most of his time by the fire. The biggest problem now wasn't hunger, but his hands were freezing even with gloves on. He was so cold and impatient that he wished he could stick his hands into the fire to warm them. I have no idea how many are still in, but I'm at my breaking point. I just want to go home and hug my daughter. And play with my son. The days with family are just too important. If I stay here any longer, Barry feels like he's on the brink. He must adapt to the ever-changing situation or he'll have to head home. Currently, he's only catching rabbits and fish. He's planning to set traps nearby, but with this weather, snowfall will reduce the trap's effectiveness, so time is running out. His success hinges on finding food in the next few days. Barry thought the challenge would be over by now, and he'd be home after 2 months. This just proves how tough the contestants are. He always thought he could win the prize money, but now he wants to quit and go home. It proves that the show's selection process is pretty strong. Barry gathered stones to secure the traps. The traps are well set, so they won't fail. On day 65, making snow travel much easier. He's still hungry. He hopes to catch some fish. With these skis, he can go further to fish. Even though the ice is thicker than he expected, walking on it still makes him a bit nervous. Soon, Jordan reached his ice fishing spot. He grabbed an axe and began hacking at the ice, which was tiring for him. Fortunately, the ice wasn't too thick. To set the gill net right, he measures the distance between the holes carefully. Then, he ties the net to a stick and pushes it through to the other side. The setup process went smoothly. Jordan finally felt relieved. Now he can pile some snow over it to cover it up. This will prevent it from freezing over. The whole fish. His situation will become quite dire. On the 66th day of the challenge, Nathan was busy upgrading his shelter. The nighttime temperatures are just too cold. He can't sleep peacefully. After some adjustments, it's a bit better. But the cold remains unyielding. Food is the top priority now. The traps have been out for some time. But the recent cold has made me hesitant to check them. My body is struggling, and I'm relying on the fishing net. I'm counting on catching a fish to regain my strength. I'll have the net ready to go in the water tomorrow. If I don't catch a fish, I'll have to go home soon. I hope the others quit first. The camera shifts to Barry. The traps haven't been effective, which doesn't surprise him at all. His body weakens daily, and he sees no reason to go on. Quitting won't make them declare a winner immediately. For the first time, he feels utterly powerless. There's absolutely no food left. He deeply misses his family, whom he hasn't seen in ages, and questions who could endure this challenge. Before heading out, he wants to check the other side of the river. The ice isn't as solid as he thought. The materials he collected, he crafted some improvised ice skates. Barry hopes to use the prize money to buy a house for his family. The pressure of debt is immense, but he feels helpless. It's beyond just enduring hunger now. He avoids dwelling on home and aims to wrap up this project quickly. If he can just reach the other side, he might find some food. He quickly made a simple version of the skates, and they seem to work well. At least he doesn't have to worry about falling suddenly. Although walking is easier, it's still very exhausting. Regrets coming here, but taking a break to drink water makes it worthwhile. He didn't expect to make it this far, but his body is extremely weak, and he breaks down emotionally. He really wants to win the prize and take it home, but he just doesn't have the strength. He hopes his family understands. Barry really doesn't want to leave and cries bitterly. The challenge has reached day 67. Nathan, seeking better sleep, put hot stones under him for warmth. It helped somewhat. At least when he smelled something burning. He was terrified, so he got up because it's very dry. Simone visits home every few years, mostly because he can't afford airfare. He hopes to win the prize money to reunite his family. Finally, the ice broke open. As long as he can get the rod in, he believes fish will come. Tomorrow, he'll know if there's food. Nathan feels especially tired today. His body really needs rest. He's done everything he can. If the net doesn't catch any fish, he might have to quit the challenge. He's concerned about the issues from his low weight. The prize money matters, but being alive for his family matters more. For the first time, Nathan really wants to go home. He has so much to say to his wife. He wonders how she's been. This is the longest he's been away without contact. If he can, Nathan still wants to keep going. On the 68th day of the challenge, Jine was already receding a bit. Despite this, it shouldn't affect his looks. It's time to check the net. If he can catch a fish, it would be great. The fat from the fish is crucial. Walking on the ice is really exhausting. He has to constantly watch the ice conditions. No one can be sure the ice is solid. He gets angry whenever he remembers the fat. He quickly cleaned the fish and ate what he could right away. It had been ages since he had savored something so satisfying. If Jordan could snag 2 more fish, the prize would be his. On the 69th day, Vonia remained determined. She gathered her ropes and relocated, hoping for better luck. She hoped for different results, as the cold weather made it crucial to have enough food to maintain body heat. Without enough food, the body faces many issues. She wondered if the traps would yield any surprises, given the lack of tracks nearby. Just when she was about to give up, she discovered a squirrel in the trap. Even a small catch was precious food. Vonia hoped the other traps would work too. She used the squirrel's innards as bait, thinking it would lure fish. To her surprise, another trap caught a squirrel, making her feel like she was sure she could have a full meal today. If she could keep up this pace, she believed she could do even better. On the 69th day of the challenge, Barry was in a terrible state. He felt like he was starving to death, having lost a lot of weight since he arrived. Today was the day for a medical checkup, and he was considering quitting the challenge. At first, the prize money seemed very important, but it had become incredibly hard to endure. He didn't even know how many contestants were left. He feared that if he left, the winner would be announced right after. He could only hope for good news. The show's crew came to check on the contestants. Everyone wanted to keep going, but the checkup revealed their conditions had significantly deteriorated since they arrived. The doctors feared the contestants' bodies wouldn't last, especially Barry's. He was in the worst shape and couldn't go on. Barry had thought about being forced to quit, but facing it was hard to accept. He felt he could say he was quitting, but not be forced out. He didn't think it was that dangerous and believed he could keep going. The crew kept urging him to quit, not wanting any issues from pushing too hard. Barry was very upset about it. He didn't think it would end this way. He prized so many were still competing. But his body had reached its limit. If he gets another shot, he aims to last the full 100 days. He thought about his family and hoped to see them soon. With Barry gone, only 3 contestants were left. Who do you think will win the prize? Let's wait and see together. Jordan, who initially succeeded in hunting a moose, faced enough to provide food for 7 or 8 days. To his surprise, there was a smaller fish inside the big one, a true buy one get one free deal. Someone else reprocessed rabbit fur into a scarf, which turned out to be incredibly warm. The quality of life in the wilderness was improving. Could it be that hunting a moose wouldn't guarantee a prize? Let's keep watching. On day 43 of the challenge, 6 contestants were still in the game. Barry wasn't worried about being disqualified due to weight loss during the routine checkup tomorrow. He was more concerned about whether his wife would surprise him, as past winners had experienced. He thought he should practice his reaction. Otherwise, he might be too excited to manage his expressions. Barry should tone it down a bit and focus on getting more food. He wanted to prepare some meat for his wife to taste, as it was all natural and unpolluted, unlike supermarket meat. Every time he checked the traps, he hoped for a catch, but often found nothing. If other contestants were in the same boat, Barry could accept it. He wondered how many were left and hoped his wife would come soon. He spotted squirrel tracks. It seemed like a small squirrel was chattering in the tree. Barry thought he could take it down with an arrow, but missed twice. He returned to the shelter empty-handed, hoping his wife wouldn't be disappointed. He felt he was close to winning the prize, his excitement palpable. If not for the progress bar showing more time left, he would have thought Barry had already won. Everything seemed to work out for him, making for great TV. On day 44, the crew checked on the contestants. The good news was that everyone was fine. The bad news was that Barry's wife didn't come. He hadn't expected the challenge to continue, wondering how others could endure more than him. This affected his mood. He decided to focus on the challenge, stockpiling food so he could lie in his sleeping bag and eat meat every day. Despite his cheerful demeanor, Barry missed his wife terribly, and it was all an act. Life without his wife was pure torment. Barry was on the verge of quitting and going home, emotionally breaking down. Facing loneliness alone was too much. Meanwhile, Nicky was sharpening his knife on a rock, mixing it with saliva for better results. The temperature was so low that even saliva froze quickly. Surviving here was tough for him, with bad luck seemingly following him. After being bitten by a squirrel, the crew advised him to quit, but he was fine. He hoped the traps would catch a rabbit, as he had seen tracks before. Today, he was lucky and caught a rabbit. Nicky was almost in tears, grateful for the rabbit bringing warmth in the cold. Rationing it could last him 2 or 3 days, a crucial turning point towards victory. He cooked the rabbit, thinking about how to get more nutrients, especially vitamins and fiber, which were scarce in the cold. The best source was the reindeer's stomach, but since he couldn't hunt one, he could get some from the rabbit's stomach. It sounded gross, but was effective for digestion, something Nicky had never tried. Facing each other, it was hard to hold back. He couldn't imagine how it would taste after heating. He expected it to be smelly, but was pleasantly surprised. Oh my gosh, it's really good. He drank the rabbit soup, feeling revitalized. Good, can't believe it. He recommended everyone try catching a rabbit, but it had to be free range. Nicky was overjoyed, wondering if anyone else wanted to taste it, hoping to catch another rabbit tomorrow. Vonia was also relaxed. 45. Vonia was hungrier than ever, hoping the traps would catch a rabbit. Rabbits, her neighbor's trap caught a squirrel. It was her first time catching something, though the squirrel had little meat, just enough to curb her cravings. If not for the foxes, the traps would have worked better, lifting her spirits. The camera then showed Jordan, who was surprisingly healthy despite losing 30 pounds. He could handle losing another 50 pounds at this rate. Lose meat. If not for the wolverine eating his fat, he wouldn't be struggling. He couldn't rely on hunting another moose and hadn't fished much. He wondered if the fish were still around. Catching 3 or 4 would be enough. Jordan grabbed his rod and tried fishing. It took a lot of effort, but the fish escaped back into the water, taking the bait. It was his best hook. Could he faint from hunger despite hunting a moose? It seemed absurd, but Jordan was growing weaker. Thinking of the wolverine made him furious. Things had been going well. If someone told you a moose hunter could faint from lack of fat, you'd think it impossible. But in the wild, you'd understand the value of fat. After today's fishing failure, Jordan wasn't as confident. If he kept losing weight, he could last 2 more weeks at most. He hoped other contestants would quit soon, or he'd want to go home and rest. On day 46, Nathan trimmed his hair. He looked much fresher and cut. He checked the traps and nets, hoping for food. He was weaker than before, and the crew had warned him during the last checkup. If he lost more weight, he'd be forced to quit. He was desperate for food, having burned through his fat reserves, now relying on sheer willpower. The net yielded nothing. The worst part was seeing fish nearby. If only they swam into the net. Maybe he should try fishing. Nathan didn't expect to collapse suddenly, his condition worse than he thought. Continuing like this was life-threatening. He struggled back to the shelter. On day 47, Vonia was dancing on camera, in good spirits despite days without food. She missed her family, wondering what they were doing. He stretched. Vonia felt that participating in the challenge was not just about testing her survival skills, but also proving that women could thrive in the wild. She wanted to show that women's willpower was as strong as anyone's. She used paracord to secure the rabbit fur, weaving it into a scarf. The fur was all hand-stripped, 100% natural and unpolluted. Unfortunately, she hadn't caught many rabbits since winter began, or the scarf would be even prettier. It was warm, and she hoped to upgrade it to a blanket before leaving. Michelle, on the other hand, was in a much worse state, extremely weak and only feeling slightly comfortable while lying down. Without food, the crew would soon carry her out. Michelle, like me, struggled to get out of bed, forcing herself to find food. It's so cold outside and so warm inside, I just want to sleep until the challenge ends. After much struggle, I finally muster the courage to go out and check the traps, but the cold wind is unbearable. Before encountering the fox, I managed to get some food to fill my stomach, but now I have to worry about the fox eating the rabbits I catch. I don't even know why I set the traps anymore. Without enough food, I'll probably have to quit and go home soon. The worst part, he doesn't even remember where he set them. Hunger has affected his memory, and after a few steps, his vision blurs, forcing him to stop and rest to feel better soon. The pressure of surviving in the wild is immense, with all sorts of problems piling up. Even finding the trap line is a struggle. No wonder the crew have no recollection of the area. He can only rely on his instincts to move forward. The stress is causing. She thought she'd gather a pile of food and rest in the shelter, but now she's lost. Cold sweat covers her body, making it hard to focus, and she can barely see anything. She's relying on sheer willpower to reach the shore. Oh, luckily, she didn't fall into the water. Michelle instantly perks up, adjusting her breathing to feel better. After walking her, extremely weak. Without a miracle, Michelle won't last till the end. She recalls her mother passing away from cancer. Doing like this will only add more wounds. She hasn't told the crew she hasn't had a bowel movement in 2 weeks, which is a heavy burden on her body. She'll probably end up in the hospital, and her emotions are frayed. She injured herself giving birth, and now the fall has caused ligament pain. Combined with the pressure from constipation, she's worried about her future health and seems ready to quit the challenge. Let's see how Nathan is doing. He's boiling bones in the pot, and once the broth is gone, there's nothing left to eat. He's relying on the fat in the pot to keep going, hoping the gill net will yield something. Otherwise, which could be fatal. Even a brief dip in the water could cause serious problems, let alone getting soaked and trying to dry off. So Nathan is trying to stay focused to avoid falling in. It looks like the gill net caught something. Nathan puts on a life jacket to prevent accidents. The rocks are either wet or covered in snow, but luckily, he manages to pull up a big fish. It's large enough to last him another week if he rations it. The gill net worked, and he might catch more. Nathan is thrilled and wants to show off on Canis. Life is looking up. On the 48th night of the challenge, Michelle's condition worsens, and she's in so much pain she's crying. She can't sleep, feeling something rolling in her stomach. Breathing is difficult, and she just wants to call the crew at dawn. If she doesn't make it through the night, these might be her last words. It seems Michelle has no choice but to leave. It's unclear how she made it to morning. She wants to complete the challenge, but her body can't take it anymore. She can't ruin her health for the prize money. She doesn't know how many contestants are left but hopes she ranks high. She wants the crew to come soon. She's in so much pain, the worst since giving birth. She thought she might quit early but didn't expect it to be this bad. Michelle wants to end the interview quickly and go to the hospital to rest. She doesn't want her family to know yet, preferring not to reunite in the hospital. With the crew's help, she leaves, wondering what will happen to the remaining contestants. You get the fat and can eat the meat. Mixing it with rice would be delicious. I wish I could try some. On the 48th day of the challenge, 5 contestants remain. Let's see how Jordan is doing. As the temperature drops, he makes himself a new rabbit fur vest, 100% handmade and unique. If he wins, he'll raffle it off. Jordan has been trying to fish but hasn't had much luck. Besides ice fishing, there's no better way to get fat. He has a bold idea to scrape the fat off the deer's head. There's not much, but it's something. He plans to process it into fat blocks and preserve the deer tongue, a valuable resource. He hopes it works as imagined because eating only lean meat isn't sustainable. He's been boiling it for a long time, and it doesn't smell great, but it's good fat. Tough time. He's had his share of bad luck, constantly worrying about food, but still wants to make souvenirs. For him, the most valuable thing in winter is the shrunken grass, which he uses to stuff toys, lifting his spirits. He hopes to finish the souvenirs and take them home. He's lost a lot of weight and worries about being forced out. He reassures himself that he's fine. He plans to process the animal skins he got, sewing them together. Catching the first rabbit was memorable. Despite his age, Nicky has a youthful spirit, sleeping with a stuffed toy every night. He's already sewn the rabbit and stuffed it with shrunken grass, making it look like when he first caught it. He wishes he had some decorations to add, like a bow. Having a stuffed toy in the wild is already great. He hopes to catch more rabbits to process before leaving. Nicky is looking forward to it. On the 4th day of the challenge, Vonia upgrades her bed, improving her sleep quality. If possible, she'd stay in bed all day. Anyone surviving in the wild would love it. Now she's checking the traps, hoping for more food. The snow shows different tracks. Likely Squirrel is disappointed until a rabbit suddenly appears. She can't miss this opportunity. She grabs her bow and arrow, aiming and shooting at close range. Vonia is disappointed in herself for missing. It proves there are rabbits around, but the traps aren't effective. Should she relocate them? She thought she'd go hungry today, but finding food in the trap excites her. She wants to hug the rabbit, loving them so much. She checks further, hoping to catch another rabbit. She's content with just filling her stomach. She plans to fish later. If she can keep getting food, Vonia might make it. On the 50th day, Jordan starts practice and his body isn't as strong as before. He thinks it's due to thinking about how to get more fat. Eating lean meat every day is really hard to sustain. He didn't have much fat stored to begin with, and now a wolverine had its eyes on him. Jordan felt helpless about it. Although he had a bit more meat, it wasn't necessary to keep taking it. He had to find a way to protect his food. Otherwise, if the wolverine finished the fat and started eating the meat, what would he do? The alarm system had to stay in place. Wilderness survival is full of surprises. No one can guarantee smooth sailing all the time. Jordan needed to secure the prize money steadily to prevent the wolverine from getting to his food. He not only smoothed the surface, but also set up a snare to trap it. If it tried to climb up, it would get stuck. Even if it managed to escape, it wouldn't be able to get back up. He also placed cans on top, so he could hear any movement. Jordan was fully prepared, just waiting for the wolverine to come and get caught. The camera then shifted to Nicky, who hadn't had meat in a long time. Luckily, he found some mushrooms on a tree. He was thrilled, feeling like he was taking away the squirrel's stash. He liked these diligent squirrels. They say people who smile often have good luck because truly unlucky people can't smile. Since coming here, Nicky hadn't relaxed in a long time. He planned to use juniper for smoking. He hadn't seen his body in a long time and was shocked at how thin he had become. He felt like a gust of wind could blow him away. It's hard to imagine how he managed to hold on. Most people would have given up long ago. Nicky had no fat left on him. He was practically skin and bones. Despite this, he still wanted to keep going. As long as the show didn't force him to quit, he would hold on for as long as he could. He wondered how much. The mental challenge had reached day 51. Barry had been thinking about how to spend the prize money. He wanted to buy a new car when he got back. By now, there shouldn't be many contestants left. With his body fat, he could probably hold on for a few more days unless someone else caught a big fish. But that wasn't very likely, so he still had a good chance of winning. If Barry knew the other contestants' conditions, he probably wouldn't be smiling so happily. Barry wasn't in great shape, just barely hanging on. At dawn, Barry went to gather moss to eat. It was the best food he could find at the moment. He boiled it in a pot, a simple meal. He used to use moss for wiping, never thinking he would end up eating it. It didn't have much flavor, but the fibers helped ease his stomach pain, which was very important to him. His wife used to think wilderness survival was easy and that contestants would loneliness could be. He had to suppress his emotions in front of the camera. He really wanted to hug his wife and cry. Staying here was driving were left. It felt like the challenge would never end. He forced himself to swallow the moss slowly. He thought eating tree roots might be better, at least they had some earthy flavor. The camera shifted back to Jordan, who hadn't seen his family in a long time. Today was his daughter's 3rd birthday, and he regretted not being there to celebrate. Jordan really wanted to win the prize money and go home, but he didn't know how many contestants were left. He could last 100 days. Loneliness. Jordan made crafts to pass the time. Today, he made playing cards out of tree bark. For him, getting food wasn't as important as keeping his mind relaxed. Only then could he avoid quitting out of homesickness. The cards were a bit rough, but they weren't. He wished he had someone to play with. Chewing on jerky in the shelter wouldn't be bad. He wondered what to do next. On the 52nd day, Nicky found comfort in sleeping with a stuffed animal. Last night, he made a rabbit head mask and felt great. If only his stomach would quiet to quit due to low weight. Maybe he could drink more water before weighing in. Nicky was happy to see someone coming. He could only chat with others during checkups. Although he felt fine, the doctor's serious expression worried him. Nicky was much thinner than expected, and continuing could be life-threatening. He couldn't believe the show wanted him to quit. He felt fine. How could he be forced to leave because of low weight? The doctor explained that while he looked okay, he was internally weak, and staying would cause problems. The show didn't want to risk it. They suggested he go to the hospital. He had been happy about the checkup, but was shocked by the news. It was too sudden, and he couldn't accept it. He hoped the show would give him one more day to say goodbye, but they didn't agree. Brag about for life. He hoped the editors would do a good job, otherwise, he would file a complaint. With Nicky forced to quit, only best chance of winning. The camera shifted to Vonia, who had just cleaned a rabbit and put on some makeup. It was Halloween, and even though she was alone in the wild, she wanted to celebrate. The rabbit was her main dish, and she wished she had more. Vonia decorated her place a bit. It looked simple, but it didn't affect her mood. She used to celebrate with her family, and the town would be lively. She hadn't experienced that in a long time. She hoped to gather friends and family for a meal when she got back. She wanted to celebrate her mother's birthday after the challenge. Maybe she could make some souvenirs to take home. If it weren't for the holiday, she wouldn't have eaten so much at once. She worried about running out of food and the strain on her stomach, but she decided to enjoy the moment. On the 53rd day, the weather worsened, and Nathan shivered from the cold. He stayed by the fire for warmth, not wanting to go out. He had to restart the fire as he didn't have a fire starter. In such cold weather, using a bow drill was tough. Nathan regretted not bringing a fire starter. He spent a lot of time and energy making fire, time he could have used for fishing. He wasn't as enthusiastic as before. If he couldn't get the fire going, he would have to quit and go home. The bow drill wasn't working well. He shouldn't have been lazy last night. He should have checked the fire regularly. Once it went out, it was hard to relight. If he couldn't get it going tonight, he wouldn't make it. Nathan's hands were numb from trying to start the fire. He didn't know if it was the materials or his technique, but he couldn't get any embers. He kept adjusting his tools, thinking of the wooden board he had used as a cutting board. It might be easier to ignite. If he succeeded, he could keep going, otherwise, he would freeze. The material was better than expected, and he soon got embers. It was a relief. He finally had warmth. Nathan was exhausted and wanted to finish the challenge and go home. He had to keep an eye on the fire tonight. He didn't want to start over again tomorrow. On the 54th day, Barry felt extremely cold, even with all his clothes on. Most contestants who made it this far didn't have much food and relied on willpower. Barry had never faced such cold before and struggled to adapt. He planned to get some water but didn't hear the waves. He wondered if his ears were failing but realized the bay was frozen. He could ice fish now. If he caught a few fish, he wouldn't worry about hunger. First, he needed water. The ice was thicker than expected, making it hard to break through. The berry area was covered in snow, making it hard to find berries. Everything felt unfamiliar. If he couldn't adapt, he would have to quit and go home. On the 55th day, Barry braved the cold to check outside. The ice was thick, and he felt safe standing on it. He could focus more on the challenge and maybe find more food. It took time but prevented falling into the water. He wondered how long the challenge would last. Let's wait and see. Winter in the Arctic is brutal. I constantly fear fainting from hunger and can only cook old leftovers. I toss all my leftovers into a pot to boil and drink. The worst part is that starting a fire for warmth can set my shelter ablaze. The flames grew larger, and I had no way to control them. I could only build a small shelter nearby to rest. Could you endure this if you were me? On day 70, a snowy owl broke into my shelter to steal food. If hunting were permitted, Jordan would have caught the owl for food. He envies how easily it finds food when hungry. He still has to figure out how to deal with his hunger. The temperature outside is terrifyingly low. If he could, Jordan wouldn't want to come out and suffer. He has no idea how many others are still in the game. It feels like it will never end. His longing for home is intensifying. He's worried his body won't hold up as he has very little fat. Just having muscles isn't enough. He hopes to catch a big fish to eat. Jordan didn't expect to forget to set the traps. What a blunder. He feeds some meat so he can survive a bit longer. They're smarter than he expected. They probably didn't eat any meat, just scavenged the fat. Jordan feels like the fat on his body is crying. He thought he was well prepared, but mistakes still happened. You can see the fish's skin peeled off. There's no fat left inside, and the eaten parts are unusable. He's feeling quite miserable. The camera shifts to Nathan, who looks much thinner than holes on his belt aren't enough. His pants keep falling off. He has to punch a new hole every now and then. The change is visibly significant, almost a quarter of his size. Despite eating, he can't gain weight, and he hasn't had much food anyway. He looks forward to cooking tastier meals when he returns. Nathan believes he can handle the physical pain, but the loneliness is harder. A voice in his head keeps telling him to go home and see his kids. Although he misses his family, he believes he can hold on a bit longer. Now, he needs to check the gill net. It sounds quite windy outside. As soon as he leaves the fire, he feels like he's freezing. The hole by the gill net isn't fully sealed, it just needs a bit of force to open. Nate will help much. Vonia's situation is slightly better, at least he has some meat to eat. But his stomach won't stop growling. He misses the butter blocks at home. Frying a steak with them was so tasty. He hasn't seen his family in ages and can barely remember their faces. All he can think about is the food at family gatherings. No female contestant should have outlasted him, right? With the temperature dropping, Vonia is increasingly worried about running out of food. Especially after catching 3 squirrels, it seems like there's nothing left to eat. The daily energy consumption is huge. There's no fat left to burn. Now he can only pin his hopes on ice fishing. If he can't catch some meat in the next few days, He definitely won't be able to hold on. Even though the ice is very thick, standing on it still makes him a bit nervous. Ice fishing at dusk is actually not bad. He can rest right after he's done. Vonia has rabbit guts as bait. He believes he might still catch some fish, but first, he has to break through the ice, which is much thicker than he expected. He's spent a lot of time and energy on it. Besides ice fishing, he can only rely on the traps. The weather is freezing, and night is closing in fast. He's running out of time for ice fishing, making the axe essential. He's terrified of snapping the knife. Ice shards pelt his face. Vonia redoubles his efforts. He doesn't know if it's because he's too weak or the ice is too thick, but he just can't break through to the water. He's too exhausted to break the ice and worries this might be his last chance to ice fish. Without a miracle, I believe he will soon quit the challenge. It's been 71 days, and Nathan has been dealing with death every day. But the results have been poor, and I hope the 4 nets will work out. Although many are damaged, I still have fish hooks and bait. I should be able to catch at least 1 fish, right? All I have now is a piece of smoked fish. I mostly depend on that pot of soup. The bit of fat in the soup is what's keeping me alive. Before Nathan came, he asked his family for advice. His grandpa was adamant he should bring back the prize money. Even if he has to quit, he should be carried out. Although I really want to win the prize, the situation is just too dire now. Without enough food, my body lacks the fat to burn. If I continue, I might meet my ancestors before my grandpa does. After dark, Nathan feels even more lonely. He rarely saw his family before. The last time he saw his nephew, he was just a little boy. Now, his nephew is outside catching bugs. Nathan dreams of winning the prize to reunite with his family. Dinner didn't expect was that the fire suddenly got out of control. It kept spreading to the shelter. Although Nathan tried to handle it immediately, he couldn't stop the fire. He had to clear out the burning parts. He risked burns while trying to extinguish the fire. Despite his efforts, the flames couldn't be stopped. The $1 million shelter was gone in an instant. Nathan felt awful. Only the cameras never thought the challenge would end like this. His focus on staying dry and warm caused the problem. Ultimately, his inexperience in the Arctic led to this. Now, he must call the show crew to stop the fire from spreading. No one anticipated such drama. The shelter's flames kept climbing. The flare suddenly exploded, scaring Nathan into fleeing the scene. It's too dark now, and the crew can't reach Nathan. He hopes the crew can manage the fire. Nathan couldn't handle it then and could only pray it would last longer. At first light, he must leave this awful place fast and set up a basic shelter to stay warm and avoid frostbite. The fire has calmed down now. Nathan can finally rest and plan his speech for tomorrow. Even though he might have to leave soon due to his health, quitting because of the fire feels like a personal failure. Nathan's Arctic challenge went up in flames in just half an hour. Now it's just Vonia and Jordan left. I believe it's safe to congratulate Jordan now. Would celebrating early really be a mistake? Nathan felt relieved when he heard the helicopter's buzz. His hands and feet were nearly frozen stiff. The crew 2 days is already much better than most people, even without this fire. Even if Nathan had caught a caribou, his physical state would have kept him from winning. He didn't see that coming. There are still 2 people left in the challenge. How long will it last? Let's see what Jordan is up to. Even though he has lean meat to eat every day, it's not very good for his body, so he plans to get some bone marrow. Once heated, it tastes as good as chocolate. Hunting a moose gave him a big edge, but he must use the resources wisely. Otherwise, he will quickly lose these advantages. Jordan keeps wondering why the challenge hasn't ended yet. How many people are left? This can't last 100 days, can it? I'm really worried I might not make it and have to quit. I don't know if the ice sculpture area has produced anything. The entrance is frozen over again, so I'll need to break it open to use it. Jordan is really frustrated. It feels like a big waste of energy, and he needs a better method. He plans to shine a flashlight on the bait, thinking the fish will definitely be attracted to it. Hopefully, this way he can catch a fish. It might look a bit silly, but Jordan feels capable of continuing and seems to be in good spirits. He just needs a bit of fat now. He had learned how to ice fish before, but it never worked very well. After a fruitless day, Jordan thinks a gill net might be easier and save him from waiting around. He still wants to return and light a fire for warmth. Meanwhile, Vonia is struggling even more, barely getting by on squirrels. The only food left to catch fish, if she could catch a rabbit in her traps. She could push through for another 2 days, but aside from praying, there's no way to include. She checks each trap, but there's no sign of a rabbit. She returns to the shelter to rest, wondering when she'll get to go, and eventually, the show will make her leave. She wonders how many contestants remain. Why is the challenge still going? She dreads the thought of spending 100 days in the Arctic, if not for the prize money. She would have quit long ago to be with her family. The prize is tempting, but risking her health for it could make things tougher for her later. She's considering staying one more week. If it's not done by then, she'll quit and go home for a good meal. It's a nice thought, but she wonders if she'll really be able to leave. She mostly thinks she'll be forced out during a medical check. Her body is weaker than before. I guess she won't last much longer. On day 73 of the challenge, Jordan's mental state is still okay. But no matter how much meat he eats, he can't stop losing weight. It blames his imperfect storage, his belly, or if someone has quit. The production team had a 100-day completion poster ready, but Vonia sadly withdraws. For her, this challenge is a lifetime achievement. It wasn't easy at all. Among the female contestants, she probably stayed the longest. Although she couldn't complete the challenge in the end, she gave it her all. She has been learning wilderness survival since childhood. In terms of skills, she was confident she could finish. Unfortunately, her body couldn't keep up. Vonia didn't want to wait until the day she had to be carried out. She hopes the interview ends soon so she can pack all her tools and souvenirs. Today happens to be her birthday. Heading home is the best gift. Vonia struggles to put her feelings into words, but is proud to be the first female contestant to last this long. This season, she won't get another shot. She hopes to join again in the future and do even better. She won't let hunger and concerns affect her again. Vonia has adventured in many places, but none as extreme as the Arctic. It's tough to fathom how people endured this place in the past. With Vonia gone, congrats to Jordan on winning the $1 million prize. He hasn't realized it yet. He is focused on catching a big fish, and he actually catches one. It's quite large. Jordan feels he can stay another week. He makes sure to record this moment well. The $1 million meal is in his bag. Everything is going so smoothly. For lunch, he makes a preserves fiercely, ready to fend off even a pack of wolves. Jordan waits for the production team to check his health. He's unsure how long he can keep this up. Fear will eat the fat soon to regain his strength. He can hear the helicopter outside. Before the check, he's still chewing on meat to gain weight, hoping to stay just above the qualifying line. Though weaker than before, his weight remains healthy, and the production team acts like the challenge continues. Jordan shares his thoughts on camera. He thinks he loves wilderness survival more than anyone. As Jordan claims it's no challenge, his wife suddenly appeared behind him.
Oh my God!
Jordan was stunned to see his wife, thinking he might be forced to quit. And finally understood the challenge was over. Living in the Arctic was incredibly tough. Now he could really think about how to spend the money. He hadn't been this happy in a long time. Jordan still felt like he was dreaming, unable to believe he had won. He showed his wife around the shelter. His wife couldn't believe he could hunt so well. If the other contestants hadn't quit, Jordan could have kept going. There were many exciting moments captured on camera. He planned to gather friends and family to watch how he hunted moose and wolves. What do you think of this season's champion? I think anyone who can hunt a moose is pretty strong. I wonder who will challenge next. Let's all wait and see.